We have a plethora. For those of you in Rio Linda, California, that means a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today that is going to be added and tabulated in that column which reads, "More fun than human beings should be allowed to have." Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program. Here we are on the EIB network. You know what's going on even as we speak? Right now, you people, do you know what's happening? What is it, the 103rd Congress of the United States of America is being sworn in. A pack of are promising not to do what they're going to do starting in 10 minutes after they swear they won't do it. They're going to start doing it immediately after they say they won't. Gridlock resumes today, and let me tell you, folks, you have the only counterweight to this travesty that begins every year at this time in Washington, D.C., swearing into the new Congress. What is that counterweight? Me. This show. Ta-da-da, 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 ta-da-da. The trumpet fanfare sounds. It means it's time for a new update. Ta-da-da, an update. This one's new. Ta-da-da, 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 ta-da-da. Our Carol Moseley Braun update.
Well, we're moving on now to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on to the side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
Oh, do you ever, baby?
Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
Yes, my friends are going to be keeping an eye on this one because I told you, I want to go back to before the election. I told you that the election of Carol Moseley Braun was going to be one of the biggest mistakes Illinois voters would make in a long, long time, and they would soon realize it because, and I was being generous, I was being gracious, I was being kind when I said, she's a recorder of deeds. She doesn't know what's going on. She has no experience. I mean, she's not prepared in so many ways for this. And I even said back then, she's looking at this as an opportunity that is not what the voters think it is. And so pretty much all of that has come true. Have I gone yin, yin, yin? No, I've not. I've been classy about this, primarily because I was on vacation when it all came to light. So I couldn't have done anything about it, but now I'm back. Now I'm here. Let's just run down, for those of you in Illinois, you know this is going on. I mean, people in Illinois, you know I'm right. You Illinois voters, admit it. You people all throughout the state of Illinois, primarily in Chicago, admit it. You know you blew it. If the people of Illinois could apologize to the nation, they would do it. If there were a mechanism by which they could, I'm sure it would happen. Since the election, Carol Moseley Braun has taken a nearly month-long vacation to South Africa with her son Matthew and her campaign manager and boyfriend, Cozy Matthews. Critics say she should have been in Washington, putting together her Senate staff and getting oriented, going through the orientations and learning the ropes and appearing to take it seriously. She responds to this by saying, I've taken care of all my responsibilities. I've attended all the orientations. My staff operation is firming itself up. She has also, this is really the funny thing. Now, a lot of people are mad about this. Because this is one of the biggest I told you so's. This is just funny to me, and I think you people who voted for her, you deserve this. What, after all, was the main reason Carol Moseley Braun decided to run for the Senate? Because of outrage at what? Outrage at Clarence Thomas. Outrage at not Clarence Thomas, but at the way Anita Hill was treated. Anita Hill was not believed. Anita Hill came forth with these serious charges, don't you know? Why, that man put a pubic hair on her coat from 50 feet away and said some things to her. Never once touched her. Never once threatened her. Said some things. She had no evidence. None of her corroborating witnesses had any evidence. There was absolutely no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the allegations made by Anita Hill. We're covering old water here, but remember, this was how this whole thing began. We're not going to have this happen anymore. We're going to have women treated fairly. And for that to happen, we need women in the Senate, and we need women on the Judiciary Committee, right? So her boyfriend, this Sogi or Kogi, Cozy, it's K-G-O-S-I-E. How would you pronounce that? Kogosi, it's not that. I think I heard her say Kosi. So we'll say Kosi. Her boyfriend, Kosi Matthews, has been accused by 3 women on her campaign staff of sexually harassing them. Carol Moseley Braun's response was, the allegations are nonsense. They are from disgruntled job seekers. There's no evidence to support their claim. Oh, Ms. Braun, the lesson of Anita Hill is, dare I say it again, it is not the nature of the evidence that matters, Senator Braun. It is the seriousness of the charges. And now that the shoe is on the other foot and it's your boyfriend, who, by the way, is also her campaign manager, who also was being paid $15,000, what was this, a month, as her campaign manager. That's about twice the going rate for an Illinois political race. $15,000 a month, and she's on a vacation with this guy for a month in South Africa. And she says, I haven't taken any campaign funds for personal use. What does a senator make? $120,000 tops, $106, whatever it is. She's moved into a $3,300 a month pad on the lake in Chicago, and that's $1,000 off the regular price. You add that up now, $3,300 a month times 12 is $36,000 plus, $37,000 a year, 38. And by the time, you got to have a place in Washington too, and by the time you take taxes out of your $120,000 that you're paid, $3,000 a month is a lot. I'm not saying you can't afford it, but it's a lot. But then she bought like a $25,000 Jeep. And then she took this month-long vacation to South Africa, and she flew back part of the trip on somebody's private jet. And there are a lot of people saying, you know, this is not the proper behavior for a newly elected senator. She's supposed to be in Washington preparing to do the business of the people of the state of Illinois, instead of flitting about with a guy who's been accused of sexual harassment by 3 disgruntled staffers. Meanwhile, while all this money has been spent, her campaign remains in debt, and 10 members of her campaign staff remain unpaid. What was her salary before she was elected to the Senate? $50,000 a year as the Cook County Recorder of Deeds. She hasn't made the $120, whatever it is, $1,000 a year as a senator yet. $50,000. She's doing all this on her $50,000 salary. By the way, part of that trip back from South Africa was on a private jet. The other part was on the Concorde. You know what that costs? That's $5,000 one way now, I think. I mean, it's really shot up there, folks. But she hasn't converted any of the, and there's no evidence to suggest that she has, but I think the fact that there's no evidence means we should investigate. Using the same philosophy that Tom Foley, the Speaker of the House, said we should utilize in investigating whether or not Bush was involved in the October surprise, 81, Reagan convincing the Iranians to hold those hostages till after the election so Carter wouldn't benefit. You remember that? Foley said, there's no evidence at all to suggest it happened. That's why we must investigate. Well, let's investigate this. Let's call a special prosecutor. We need the special prosecutor to look into this, folks. So, anyway, there are all kinds of appearances here that are inappropriate. And remember when Ed Meese got involved with, what, a little $50,000 loan on a house of his out in California? People thought that was a little bit improper. There was this mad dash to get him kicked out as Attorney General. The appearance of impropriety is not correct, shouldn't happen for an Attorney General. We've got a whole bunch of appearances of impropriety with the new senator from Illinois, Carol Moseley Braun. Now, while all this has been going on, Paul Simon, her colleague, liberal Democrat, has been boning up on the other senator that she replaced, that she beat was Donald Dixon, not Donald Dick, Alan Dixon. Donald Dixon was one of Jim Wright's cronies that's a felon. A lot of Dixons. There's Julian Dixon of the Ethics Committee in the House. There's Alan Dixon, defeated senator in the House. There's Donald Dixon, S&L crook. And there's Donna Dixon, married to Dan Aykroyd, and she's not involved in any of this. And then there's Mason Dixon. The Dixon I'm talking about is Alan Dixon, the former senator of Illinois, who Carol Moseley Braun somehow beat. Aren't you people in Illinois embarrassed? Aren't you embarrassed? Can you, and furthermore, oh, this woman doesn't want any part of the Judiciary Committee, by the way. No, sirree. No. Those beans would rather burn on the grill before she's going to get on the Judiciary Committee. And you know why? Because what happens there is not only controversial, it's televised. And when you're an idiot, the world knows it if you're on the Judiciary Committee. No, she doesn't have to go there, folks, just because she's there. She's the woman who said women are better equipped to nurture our economy back to health. She's the woman who said, why? Why does that work? How does that work? Where is the national nipple? Is she it? Is she the national? If women are the better nurturers of the economy? Oh, folks. I mean, we've got a gold mine. This is why I so love this job. People like Carol Moseley Braun. That's our first Carol Moseley Braun update. There'll be zillions more.
Well, we're moving on now. Moving on up to the east side. To a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie. Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill. Took a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill. Now we're up in the big leagues, getting our turn at bat. As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with that. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the east side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
And I'd like to thank all the folks at WLS, Talk Radio AM and FM in Chicago, for allowing me to piggyback with this. They actually started the Carol Moseley Braun theme song some days ago, and I talked to them today. They told me, I said, that's great. I said, can I steal it from you guys? They said, sure. And since I don't steal, I always credit people. They started it. I'm just, it's funny. It's good, and I'm happy to be aboard. Now, as I told you, there's a lot of good stuff here. Try these headlines. Nipple-sucking tourists robbed. This is a story out of Bangkok. I've got it. I've been holding it right here in my... You know what it is? It's a bunch of transvestites. What they do, a gang of transvestites entices tourists to suck their tranquilizer-laced nipples. Hey, want a hit of some drugs? Well, actually, that's not how it works. Actually, what happens is these transvestites entice tourists to suckle the nipples, and they unknowingly, therefore, ingest tranquilizers, and they fall asleep, and then they're held up. What? You got to have a pretty deviant tourist sector. Can you imagine the marketing that went into this? Somebody at the transvestite lobby over in Bangkok has figured out that the people worth robbing, you figure those are the people who have money and assets and so forth, will gladly accept an offer to suckle a nipple. On the street in Bangkok. Do you know Bangkok is where the per capita, the single largest number of prostitutes in the world is Bangkok, Thailand? And how about this headline? Convicted buttocks kisser in trouble with law again. First the toe sucker, now a buttocks kisser. Folks, hang on. We'll be back.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Following Rush, join Larry Martin for the latest news on WTIC AM 1080.
Is pro basketball legend Magic Johnson telling the whole truth about how he contracted AIDS? Data from the Center for Disease Control clearly indicates that AIDS is rare among heterosexual men who do not use IV drugs. But editors at top newspapers have killed articles investigating the Magic Johnson story. Why is the press afraid to pursue the truth about AIDS and Magic Johnson? The American Spectator reveals never-before-published information about AIDS and Magic Johnson, plus the truth about Anita Hill, Ted Kennedy, Oliver Stone, Jesse Jackson, and Hillary Clinton. Call and we'll rush you our free investigative report on Magic Johnson and AIDS, along with 12 issues of the American Spectator, the most fearless magazine in America. Call 800-426-1300. For just $29.95, you'll get the American Spectator, plus a free blockbuster Magic Johnson AIDS report. Call 800-426-1300 now. 800-426-1300. Ask for the American Spectator.
Hello, you people. Rush Limbaugh here. You know, it's alarming but true. People do judge you by the words you use. When you speak well, you command respect. You move ahead faster. Verbal Advantage, Achievement Dynamics' best-selling audio cassette word power program, will give you the words you need to communicate with confidence and flair. And with Verbal Advantage, all you have to do is listen. To learn more, call now. 1-800-28-TAPES. That's 800-28-TAPES.
Take the express route to doing business in downtown Hartford. Express offices at the corporate domain. You can afford Class A office space in Hartford even if you need it just once or twice a month, because express offices cost a very reasonable $10 per hour, $5 per half hour. You get image and convenience without the overhead and headaches. That's express offices at the corporate domain. Call 520-4481 to reserve your express office. If your business needs permanent office space, call 520-4481 and find out more about the corporate domain's flexible arrangements. The corporate domain offers complete offices, professional phone answering, conference room, and full support services, including word processing, bookkeeping, and even notary services. Individual office space and services without the high overhead at a convenient location. That's what your up-and-coming business gets at the corporate domain. Hartford Square North, 10 Columbus Boulevard, downtown Hartford. On-site parking's available. Call 520-4481 today.
Kevin Jacobs of Garfield Heights, Ohio, is telling us about his itchy rash problem.
It was a rash that was literally driving me crazy, and it would be red. The skin was inflamed and red. Generally an itch, that persistent itch that wouldn't go away.
But Kevin Jacobs got relief using Triple Action Gold Bond medicated powder.
Gold Bond medicated powder. The menthol in it, I believe is in it, was real cool and soothing. So immediately there was relief. I didn't have to worry about an itch and be uncomfortable all the time.
Gold Bond's Triple Action is like 3 great powders in one. It has the absorbing action of powder, the medicating action of a proven itch fighter, and the drying action of zinc oxide. That's Triple Action Gold Bond.
Gold Bond medicated powder gave me the relief I was looking for. It worked, and it gave me back comfort, which was real important.
Try Triple Action Gold Bond medicated powder. Use only as directed. Available in all Brooks drugstores.
Get the latest news and weather on WTIC AM 1080.
on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, I Am the Best, Rush Limbaugh. If I don't tell you, who will? Even though you already know. 800-282-2882 is the number. Yesterday on this show, I read a letter from the editor printed by a woman who claimed that I'm her hero. Letter to the editor, Panama City, Florida newspaper, in which she was distressed when she heard me say that we humans could not blow the Earth up, destroy it, or send it out of its orbit by detonating all the nuclear weapons on Earth today. She said, that can't be true. Please, physicists, call in. Set him straight on this. Well, a physicist has called in. Tomas from MIT is on the phone. Hi, Tomas.
Hi, Rush.
Glad to hear from you.
Good to talk to you.
MIT is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I assume that's the MIT you're from.
That's the one.
All right. Let's put this to the test.
All right.
Do we have the ability to destroy Earth or to send Earth out of its orbit by detonating all nuclear weapons known to exist?
Well, yesterday you said that was impossible, and you were exactly right. And boy, were you right. And so what I've done is I've done a calculation to see exactly how much nuclear power it would take to blow the Earth out of its orbit.
How does one compute that?
Well, it's a little mechanics problem, orbital mechanics problem. You have to know the mass of the Earth and how fast it's going, and you can compute how much energy it would take to blow it out of its orbit.
Would you also have to do it at a certain spot on the Earth?
Oh, well, yeah. What I've got the number for the best case scenario. You'd have to do a very special thing. You actually have to.
All right, hang on. For those of you who want to blow the Earth up, for those of you environmentalists who think that we're on our way, that we can do it. I'm going to set this up. I'm taking a big risk here, Tomas, because I really don't know what you're going to say other than you've confirmed it can't be done, but I don't know the magnitude of the improbability or impossibility.
Right.
So those of you who think we can blow the Earth, this is also good for Mr. Perot, who thought that if we got all the jet planes in the Sahara Desert and lit them at full speed, that we might be able to speed us up on our axis rotation. That, of course, is probably not possible either. Go ahead. What kind of tonnage would it take?
Okay, well, if you could buy the entire U.S. arsenal for $1, okay, and spent the entire debt on nuclear weapons at that price, then you could do it.
Wait a minute. Wait a second.
Quite a large number, yeah.
You buy the entire arsenal for $1.
$1.
And then you do what with the debt?
If that was the going rate for nuclear weapons, $1 for the entire U.S. arsenal.
Right.
And then spent the entire U.S. national debt on those weapons at that price.
Yeah.
You'd have quite a bit of nuclear weapons.
Oh, I see. Okay. More than we have now.
Yeah, quite a bit more.
Right.
Yeah, about 1 trillion times more.
So you need 1 trillion times more than we have.
That's right.
To knock the Earth out of its orbit.
That's right.
Now, how would we got a minute here. How would you actually do it? Let's say you had that supply. How would you do it?
Right. Well, it's pretty tricky. One thing you have to be careful of, that's about 30 times what it's going to take to vaporize the entire planet.
Right.
Meaning you have to be careful not to vaporize it while you set this up.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is basically line them up so you crack the Earth into 2 equal parts. And then one part will shoot out basically out of its orbit, and the other part will stop dead in its tracks and fall into the sun.
Wow, so you could really get rid of half the planet if you wanted to. Pick out the half you're done with and zap it.
That's right,
yeah.
But you'd need a lot of weapons to do it.
Could the Soviets counter us on this?
What?
Could the Soviets counter us on this? If they found out we were going to do this, could they zap our half before we zap it? Can you hang on, Tomas?
Sure.
I want to find out how you calculated this, because this is it's funny, but it's interesting. We'll be back in just a moment. More Rush. It's me after WTIC AM 1080 News. Next. Say, I know many of you are looking for a way to have your own business. Well, consider a Floor Coverings International franchise. Take advantage of the opportunities you will have as a part of the fastest-growing carpet retailer in history. FCI's low-overhead, shop-at-home concept is revolutionizing the way floor coverings are sold, folks. And Entrepreneur Magazine published their annual evaluation of franchise opportunities recently. Floor Coverings International is ranked #1 in their category again. They're light years ahead of everybody else. You want to see why? Call FCI today, 800-DIAL-FCI. That's 800-DIAL-FCI.
It is 12:30 and 58 degrees in Hartford. I'm Paul Douglas, WTIC 1080 News. The 103rd Congress has been gavelled into session. The U.S. Senate getting a new look with 4 newly elected women senators being sworn in at this hour. A 68-year-old woman will reportedly begin taking the French-made abortion pill, RU-486, today in an effort to stem the growth of a brain tumor. In Hartford, a deputy sheriff is under arrest on drug charges at his job. He was arrested at Hartford Superior Court. Melvin Braswell arrested this morning in a rear corridor of the court building in Hartford. Business news from the floor of the Exchange in New York. Here's Kara Esparro.
It's beginning to look a lot like yesterday on Wall Street. Stocks are mixed, with only the blue chips showing strength. The Dow Industrial's up 3.5 points to 3312.73 on turnover of 123 million shares. Advancing stocks have taken a slim lead over declines. Nasdaq Composite is down about 1/4 point. Treasury bonds and the dollar both weak after rising sharply yesterday. COMEX February gold up 30 cents to $328.70 an ounce.
The WTIC 24-hour traffic network getting reports of some traffic northbound on I-91 causing some delays. Not exactly sure what the problem is or the exact location of either the accident or the breakdown, which is impeding traffic flow heading north on 91. If you know the latest in the situation, give us a call. 247-NEWS is our number. Record-breaking warmth today for the 5th of January. We broke the old record of 58 degrees set back in 1950 with a morning high of 59. The rain is ending now in eastern Connecticut. Partial clearing from west to east. Windy, turning colder as temps fall to the 40s. Pretty nice night ahead. Clear, cold, about 30 tomorrow. Partly sunny, 35 to 40. 58 in Hartford now at WTIC AM 1080.
You will lose weight. You will deny yourself. You will go without. You will learn to suffer.
I don't think so.
Brand new woman. Feel so fine.
Wow, this sure isn't how I pictured Weight Watchers. I know. I looked at this simple step-by-step meal plan and said, this is Weight Watchers. And I can eat anything from pizza to pasta to steak and potatoes. So I never get bored.
Or confused, because it's all neatly stored in this great pocket-sized organizer. It's real simple.
The new Weight Watchers is easier and more exciting than ever.
You're gonna love this.
And with free registration, you're going to love the new Weight Watchers even more. Pay only the low weekly fee. Call 800-221-2112. That's 800-221-2112. Offer only at participating locations.
Larry Martin and WTIC's First News starting at 3.
Limbaugh. Going wherever it leads. I'm running down the drain.
Going wherever it leads and running it down the drain. Rush Limbaugh with talent on loan from God. Here on the EIB network on 1993. And the decade of Limbaugh continues. Here we go back to Tomas at MIT, a physicist who called in to debunk the myth that we could, with the nuclear weapons in our arsenal, blow the Earth up, vaporize it, or blow it out of orbit. How do you calculate this? Seriously, I mean, you have to. Isn't it tough to know the exact amount of nuclear weaponry we have at any one time? I guess you have to approximate that.
Yeah, I know, roughly what we have in terms of how many warheads and what they carry. I'm just assuming we have about 100,000 megatons in our arsenal.
Right. Now, here's why I think most people believe that an explosion or a massive series of nuclear explosions will blow the Earth out of its orbit. Mm-hmm. They probably think that there would be much an effect like a recoil.
Right.
When that force would blow the Earth backwards or in the opposite direction of the explosion. That's not the way nuclear detonations occur, is it? I mean, they're not the same as conventional bombs. And I remember people speculated about this during World War II. They had all the bombs that we dropped in World War II in Vietnam. My gosh, are we going to blow the Earth out of its orbit? And, of course, we didn't even make a dent, and we couldn't.
No.
But are nuclear detonations the same as conventional explosions?
No, they're not the same. The energy source is different. But for this calculation, they're pretty much the same in the sense that you release a lot of energy and momentum or recoil like you're talking about. The point is that the Earth is so huge that to make an effect in its orbit around the sun, you have to blow or recoil an amount of material which is about what we have in the size of the Earth to make any effect. So, you know, a nuclear weapon might send a few particles out into orbit or something, but nothing really significant.
These series of explosions, this 1 trillion, what did you say, 1 trillion times the arsenal we have now.
Yeah.
Would you have to do this all in one big pile, or would you have to spread these detonations around?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't seriously thought out exactly how I do it. As a physicist, what I can calculate very easily is if you were very, very smart, what would be the best that you could do? And this is the best that you could do. If you weren't quite so smart, you'd get a few thousand times more weapons and you could do it in some other way. But for this calculation, I just assumed we did them all in one big shot.
All right, let me ask you, since you're a physicist, let me ask you this. If somebody said to you, Tomas, I want you to develop, let's say Bill Clinton called in and told you that he wants all Republicans to get skin cancer.
Uh-huh.
So he said, Tomas, I want you to figure out a way to destroy all stratospheric ozone by the end of the year. Could it be done?
That's a good question. I'm not qualified to answer that.
Don't think that could be done. I mean, because it's made by the sun. They have to put out the sun, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, Tomas, thanks much for the call. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You asked for a physicist, we get a physicist on the phone from MIT. We'd need 1 trillion times more explosive than we at present have in our nuclear arsenal in order to blow the Earth out of its orbit. And since we're going the other way, since the Russians are now nice guys and love us, not even Ronald Reagan at the zenith of his power could have done it. Isn't it marvelous to know? Rachel in Arlington, Virginia. Hi, welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Hi, Rush.
Hi.
It's so good to talk to you finally.
Thank you for calling.
My question is, well, first of all, to set it up, I've only had 2 opportunities to actually see you because I'm a Hoosier and I'm trapped in the Arlington area of Virginia. That's on my bookshelf, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And the other opportunity was on the Donahue show. My question is to you, how do you feel about your appearance on the Donahue show?
This most recent one?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was fabulous.
Why?
I thought it was absolutely fabulous. Well, because I thought Phil was reduced to hysterics.
He always is.
I thought, no, he's not always is. I mean, he's
many times is.
I thought that everything he threw at me was just knocked out of the park. I really do. I mean, the one question that I was asked by a snotty member of the audience about if my daughter were raped, what would my feelings on abortion be? I tried answering that in a way to satisfy all the liberals in the audience, and they freaked out, which proved my point. But
well, they're prone to do that.
It nevertheless gave some of my ardent supporters heart attacks, and the mail is pouring in here about how how could you dare have answered the question that way? If they would have stuck with the show long enough, they would say, hey, Phil, look, I was just trying to be a good liberal. The consistent answer here is this. But that question, it's the famous Quayle question that Larry King asked Quayle. If your daughter were raped, would you do that? And I am working on an answer to that question because this whole business is setting up that scenario. That is such an infrequent occurrence. That hardly ever happens. Most abortions, the Alan Guttmacher Institute, which is an arm of Planned Parenthood itself, will admit that over 90%, maybe 95% of all abortions are for birth control purposes, that the number of abortions that occur totally because of rape or incest are less than 1.5 or 2% out of 1.5 million a year. And so it is ludicrous to make policy based on that small a percentage of occurrences, or to try to ask somebody about the consistency of an opinion using that. That's just it's a straw dog question that ought not even be allowed to be asked or answered.
Did you feel at all threatened? Did you at any time during that interview feel as though Donahue was trying to pull you down in some way? You stayed very polite, calm, extraordinarily patient. I couldn't believe how patient you were when he was, swinging his arms and ranting and raving. That of course only made you look better. But did you feel at all threatened that he was trying to pull you down in any way?
Not threatened, just prepared. I mean, you know that when you go on the Phil Donahue show, you know he's a liberal, and you know that he's going to argue with you, and you know that he's going to challenge much of what you believe if you're a conservative. So you're just prepared for it.
I'm glad I got to see it.
A lot of people have this impression. We get requests here all the time from people. Hey, Rush, why don't you come on this show and debate that person? Or come on this show and debate that person. I said, no, don't want to debate. What do you mean you don't want to debate?
Why did you choose Donahue? Or was he your choice? Did he call you?
No, he called. No, he called.
Yeah.
I'll answer that in a minute. I was going to explain to you my behavior. I am not a confrontational person. I'm not an argumentative person, and I do not get in people's faces, point fingers at them, and start calling them names. And I seldom shout. I seldom raise my voice to people. And everybody, like you, I mean, you remarked about how patient I was.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
Well, I'm always that way. I mean, I'm never any other way than, no matter who I'm talking to about what. In any situation, and
has a lot to do with security.
Well, it also has to do with there's no question about that, but it also has to do with not wanting to behave in a way that they've already typecast you as behaving. It's much better to have people surprised. My gosh, the guy's actually civil. Oh, he's actually nice. I mean, it constantly amazes me that's a reaction. Plus, it always, as you said, looks better when the other side gets flustered and forlorn and hysterical. Now, the reason I chose Donahue is, and this may surprise you, but you don't know this, the television show that I host is on now in 202 markets in America. Every market except Washington.
Right.
And
most frustrating.
Yeah. And well, do you know why it's not on the air in Washington?
Oh, there's probably a list of reasons.
I'll tell you exactly why it is now. Now, this was not the reason at first. Back when this show debuted in September, the reason that it wasn't carried then was nobody thought this show had a chance. I am this wild-eyed maniac, frenzied fanatic, and I'm going to lose the license of the station, and I'm going to get lawsuits and all that stuff. No, I'm too big a risk. And a guy who's worked on radio, but TV is a different matter, so nobody took a wait-and-see attitude. Then the show became a hit. It's the third most watched late-night TV show in America, and all the trade publications are out this week with a story about how TV stations around the country have been polled, and they were asked, what is your best decision in syndication programming in this season? And I tied with Roseanne for number one best decision TV stations say they've made. So why are we still not in Washington when we have proven that we are the most successful new syndicated show of the season? Why? Because now that Bill Clinton has been elected, and Washington being the kind of town it is, Washington's a social town. As you know, I mean, you live there.
I'm also married to a Republican diplomat, so I know what you're talking about.
Well, then this will especially make sense to you. Whatever general manager at whatever Washington, D.C. TV station, now, since Clinton's been elected and since Washington has changed from the conservative Republican social set to the Clinton Democrat social set, whatever general manager that dares take the Limbaugh show, which is going to have a lot of fun watchdogging the Clinton administration, is going to be out. He's not going to be on any A-list party invitations. He's going to be considered, how could you carry the Limbaugh show? You know, political correctness being what it is, would be judgmental. So closest you can do is get a station in Baltimore on cable. Now, the reason why I did the Donahue show is Phil and I are both syndicated by Multimedia. And Phil is the largest stockholder of Multimedia.
Okay.
And Phil Donahue, although I don't want to say that I wouldn't have my show without Phil Donahue's approval, he clearly, and people don't know this, but in the office, over at his office, he's a big supporter of my effort. He's very much hoping that this television show works. He's been very supportive of the idea back when it was an idea. He's been very supportive of the show now, and
you can't imagine the pain for those of us who can't receive it when we hear those kinds of reports, though. And I just wish there was something that, you know, Joe Public around here, myself included, could do to get it in here for us.
Well, I feel your pain. As President Clinton, I feel your pain, and believe me, we're trying to get it. I mean, it's. You know, there are new syndicated shows that don't have one half the audience ours have that are on in Washington D.C.
Well,
so, I mean, it's clearly a political decision.
Well, anyway, Rush, thank you so much for taking my call.
Okay,
honestly,
Rachel.
I have been trying since the 21st of August, and this is quite a thrill.
Well, glad you got through. Thank you very much. A pleasure to talk to you, too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Talk sports with Arnold Dean tonight at 6:30 on WTIC AM 1080.
It's so dark in here. Is the light burned out?
The light is loose.
The light's loose?
And if you stand on this chair, you'll see a loose light.
What a fun way to learn Spanish.
Well, in Spanish, chair is silla, and loose means light.
So stand on a chair, silla, loose, light. Oh, I get it.
You can learn Spanish, French, German, or Japanese, too. Not by memorizing, but by visualizing and association.
So sit down on your silla and call National Dynamics Speed Tapes at 1-800-545-1985.
1-800-545-1985.
Eso sí, que es.
Every day, people with minor arthritis pain find relief thanks to Arthritis Pain Formula, caplets with maximum strength aspirin. Listen to Mary Maldonado of Bronx, New York.
I have arthritis pain in my hands. Typing is a killer if your fingers are bothering you. But I took Arthritis Pain Formula. There was a real clear improvement. Arthritis Pain Formula did give me relief.
Join the millions who use Arthritis Pain Formula from the makers of Addison in the green box. Use as directed.
Help someone listening. Help someone hear. Can somebody take the pain and make it disappear?
Finally, someone understands all pain is not the same.
For the help where it hurts.
Introducing new aspirin-free Bayer Select.
For the help where it hurts.
Yes, aspirin-free.
For the help where it hurts. With Bayer Select.
Bayer Select is not one, but 5 different aspirin-free products for 5 different kinds of pain. Sinus, headache, nighttime, menstrual, and minor arthritis pain. Because all pain is not the same.
Put the help where it hurts.
Now it's even easier to put the help where it hurts. Look for the money-saving coupons and rebate offer in your January 10th Sunday paper. Save up to $8 on new aspirin-free Bayer Select. Use only as directed.
Put the help where it hurts. With Bayer Select.
When I was a kid, Dad always looked out for me.
That's what dads are for.
Now I'm looking out for him with Ensure. More than a vitamin supplement, Ensure is a delicious drink with all the nutrients adults need to stay healthy, active, be energetic.
Ensure is even recommended #1 by doctors as a source of complete, balanced nutrition.
Drink Ensure as a meal or in between. To your health, Dad.
To our health.
Oh, Dad.
Use as directed. So, you've got a sore throat. How sore is it? And you took a candy-type cough drop. Well, you should have tried a Cepacol lozenge. And you, how's your throat? Oh, really sore, huh? You need a Cepastat lozenge. Skip the candy. Sore throats need Cepacol lozenges. Really, really sore throats need Cepastat lozenges. Use only as directed.
Wake up with Ray Dunaway on the WTIC Morning News.
Time for another update, my friends. It's our multicultural update.
I'd like to build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
EIB.
Rush Limbaugh show. Let's love one another. We're all good people. We care about one another. We are all the same, except for our skin color and our gender and our sexual orientation. But that doesn't matter, of course, unless you disagree with the current climate of how those groups should be perceived. And then, of course, you are scum. But we love everybody else. All right. Multicultural update, folks. I have an observation. I want to share it with you about our mission to Somalia. Now, may I call your attention to one of the truisms of the day. One of the truisms of the day is that white, Eurocentric, male-oriented culture is responsible for the evils of the Western civilizations. Is it not true? It is the white male who destroyed the Native American paradise. It is the white male who made it tough for blacks in this country. The white male has subjugated women forever and ever and ever and made them second-class citizens. And it goes on and on and on to the point that we have now rewritten entire history courses to reflect this. We have taken some of the great minds and the great thinkers, writers of the great books of the Western world. We've taken them out of Western civilization and replaced them with lesser writers of lesser civilizations, all in the name of balance. Is it not true that the white Eurocentric culture has come under assault and is blamed for many of the social inequities and ills in our country today? Do we all agree with that? Do you agree with that? I'm not making this up. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating it. I haven't even gotten the full scope of it. I'm just reminding you of that which is believed by people from the Reverend Jackson to chairmans of the now ganged, you name it. Now, what is said to be as good as, if not better, and in fact, what is said to have been pillaged by Eurocentric culture? Afrocentric culture, in addition to everything else. Everything. The white Eurocentric culture doesn't have anything on its own. It stole everything it has. It plundered the ancient Greeks. It plundered the ancient Romans, plundered the ancient Egyptians, plundered the darkest continent in Africa, plundered everything, right? Didn't plunder China, nothing there to plunder except pandas. Plundered Vietnam, plundered Guam, plundered Puerto Rico, plundered Mexico, plundered Central America, plundered the West Indies, plundered India. I mean, the white Eurocentric culture stole everything from everybody, right? Okay. Have I got you now? Okay, now, Reverend Jackson, Mayor Dinkins, Al Sharpton, all of you use the NAACP. Which culture has gone to Somalia and is trying and succeeding better than anybody else to solve the problem? What have the Afrocentric cultures done to help out in Somalia? In fact, isn't Somalia a product of an Afrocentric culture? Who's there trying to help out? What civilization, what culture, what ancestors of what culture are in Somalia? I'd like the United Nations. Give me a break. Don't say United Nations to me. Don't.
Build the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtles.
United Nations. Boutros, golly.
Sing it along with the
Poor Somalis, they can't eat. They can't even swallow, but they know how to pronounce Boutros, golly. That's a major achievement. And we'll be back with more exciting programming in a moment.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Talk with Michael Harrison tonight on WTIC AM 1080.
Renaissance Radio on the EIB Network. Hey, do you remember way back in December, we told you about Sean Brown, the student at the University of Michigan, who was accused of sexual harassment because of something he wrote, a fictional story he wrote in a paper he had to do for a class on polling? Told you about this? Guess what? This is to illustrate just how on the cutting edge of societal evolution we are on this show. The Wall Street Journal today editorializes about that which we told you 30 days ago, 15 days, whatever it was. We'll update you on it in the next hour. Stay right where you are. More Rush after WTIC AM 1080 News. Next.
The following is a commercial announcement.
Good afternoon, Crowley Chrysler.
Yes, Bill Hennessy calling for Ken Crowley, please.
Hold on, please.
Hello, Ken Crowley speaking.
Ken, what's new?
Bill, the big news right now is used cars. Everybody buys a used car, is nervous about whether or not the car is going to work out well, whether they get a lemon or whatever. Well, if you purchase any used car, truck, or van from any of the Crowley dealerships, you just drive it for 30 days. If you decide you don't like it for any reason at all, we'll give you your money back toward another car. We say, don't worry, be happy, we guarantee it.
Now, there must be a mileage limit, though, isn't there, Ken?
2,000 miles would be the maximum mileage.
So 2,000 miles or 30 days. If you don't like the used car you buy at Crowley, you take it back and pick out another one.
That's right, and we'll smile because we want you happy.
That's Crowley, Chrysler, Plymouth, Jeep, Eagle, Route 72 in Bristol.
At the Crowley, Lincoln, Mercury, and Crowley Volkswagen stores, this policy is also in effect.
We'll tell people about the used cars in our next radio commercial, okay, Ken?
Very good, Bill. Thank you.
WTIC, Hartford.
It's 1 o'clock and 58 degrees in Hartford. I'm Paul Douglas, WTIC 1080 News. The 103rd Congress has been sworn in. CBS reporter Rob Armstrong from Capitol Hill.
The new Congress features more minorities and women than ever before. The substance begins in earnest tomorrow in the Senate when the Commerce Committee takes up Ron Brown's nomination to be Secretary of Commerce. Republican Senator Trent Lott of Mississippi denies that Republicans have a hit list of nominees they are out to attack.
I want to make sure that we at least do an adequate job of asking what needs to be asked for the record in terms of we're certainly not out with a hatchet to get anybody.
Nonetheless, Brown faces tough questions about his law firm's lobbying activities, including alleged past links to Haiti's deposed dictator, Baby Doc Duvalier.
Connecticut Congresswoman Barbara Kennelly has been sworn in for term number 7. The Hartford Democrat says it is not old hat to her.
It is probably as thrilling as it was on January 25th, 1982, when I was first sworn in the special. It's just such a thrill to be able to be a member of the Congress, to be reelected, and to be able to represent the people of the 1st Congressional District. I want to tell you, my heart's beating as fast today as it was in 1982.
Among the first pieces of legislation she will introduce in the new session is a measure to ease the tax burden on police and firefighters who collect heart and hypertension disability benefits. The Connecticut General Assembly 1993 session convenes in the morning at 10 for its 5-month session, which will come to an end June 9th. Both the State House of Representatives and the State Senate will convene in their chambers at 10. There will be separate moments of prayer and roll calls. The oath of office will be issued to the House and Senate members at that time. Then listen for live coverage of Governor Weiker's State of the State address to a joint session of the legislature. That will happen tomorrow at noon. And you will hear it live from the Hall of the House at the State Capitol with WTIC's Walt Dibble right here, 12 noon tomorrow. Another Hartford deputy sheriff is under arrest on drug charges. 46-year-old Melvin Braswell is charged with attempt to deliver and possess narcotics, an attempt to convey narcotics into a correctional facility. Last month, Angelo Mandry was arrested on the same charges. State police say their investigation continues. America's first hanging in nearly 3 decades became a 2-ring circus outside the Death House in Walla Walla, Washington this morning. While Wesley Allen Dodd was being executed inside, over 100 demonstrators in favor of capital punishment set off sparklers and firecrackers, and 5 people opposed to the death penalty were arrested on prison property. The Travelers Insurance Corporation is forming a wholly owned subsidiary dedicated to all personal insurance lines in Massachusetts. We get that story from WTIC's Bryant Thomas.
The premier insurance company of Massachusetts will be headquartered in Auburn, with claims offices in Danvers, Worcester, and Swansea, and a service office in Quincy. Premier will assume the personal lines of automobile insurance, now handled by Travelers Massachusetts Personal Lines Division, which was established only a couple of years ago in June of '90. A spokeswoman for the company says basically what they're doing is taking the personal line division and making it a subsidiary. It's going to become its own company and will write all personal line business in Massachusetts. In fact, Premier began writing new policies and renewing ones from the personal lines division back on January 1st, but Premier won't officially assume the claims, underwriting, and service of all personal insurance lines until July 1. Brian Thomas, WTIC News.
Whoever hid the pot in the trash can is in for a big surprise because the bunnies beat him to it. An El Paso, Texas man flagged down a cop last weekend because his rabbits were acting a bit wacky. All he did was feed them some grass from the trash, literally. Police say the unidentified man went through the garbage to find some food for his bunnies that he keeps in his backyard. What he found was 50 pounds of pot. The man, not realizing what he did, fed the marijuana to the rabbits, which, according to the police, started jumping around quite a bit. The man hasn't been charged. Police figure the $50,000 worth of pot was left in the trash by dealers. Wall Street last look, blue chip stocks are up too. Traffic and weather in a moment on WTIC.
This time of year, Sears siding contractors spend a lot more time inside than they do outside on installations. You see, people just don't think about making home improvements in the winter, but Sears installs siding all year long. And right now, to keep their crews working, Sears is offering truly incredible values. So call 1-800-847-5300 now for a free in-home estimate. There's no obligation. Call now and you save 15% on premium vinyl siding during the winter warehouse sale. Sears siding is guaranteed against denting, chipping, or peeling for as long as you own your home. Plus, it's sold, furnished, and installed by a Sears authorized contractor, someone you can trust. License numbers furnished on request. Put Sears Siding crews to work for you this winter. Call 1-800-847-5300 now. Save 15% on premium vinyl siding during the winter warehouse sale. Not available in all areas. This offer ends March 15th. So call 1-800-847-5300 now. That's 1-800-847-5300.
The WTIC 24-hour traffic network in good shape through the city. No reports of any accidents or breakdowns on either 91 or 84. Pretty warm. Here's the forecast. Meteorologist Dave Goldbaum.
On through the afternoon, just a chance for a brief passing shower. Otherwise, partial clearing from west to east. Windy and turning colder as temperatures will fall to the 40s by evening. Becoming clear and cold tonight, lows around 30. Wednesday, sunshine, some clouds mixing in during the day. Highs will be in the upper 30s and lower 40s. Thursday looks partly sunny with highs 35 to 40 degrees. Right now with a southwest wind at 14 miles an hour, It's 58 degrees at the weather station, WTIC AM 1080.
And I'm Paul Douglas on Connecticut's news and information station, WTIC AM 1080. The real rush hour's on. Here's Rush Limbaugh.
The views expressed by the host on this show just keep crawling all across the fruited plain. And some might say infecting, I would say curing much of the nation. It's an airborne phenomenon called EIB, spread by casual contact. Once you get it, you're cured, folks. Rush Limbaugh and the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, 500 and, I really think it's 58 stations. 558 stations. Even if I'm wrong, I'm going to be right in a matter of days. So it's easy to be right. And an audience now surpassing 14 million. Our telephone number here, if you'd like to be on the program, 1-800-282-2882. It's Marion Barry update time. Back in the news. Our Marion Barry update theme song.
A lady that I know just came from Colombia. She smiled because I did not understand. Then she held out a 10-pound bag of cocaine. She said it was the finest in
Tell Jesse to get out of my town.
And I said, no, I don't smoke it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. No, thank you, please. It only makes me sneeze. Then it makes it hard to find the door.
Marion Barry, 56 years old, the former mayor of our nation's capital, was released from prison in April after serving a 6-month sentence last year, 1991 actually, for possessing cocaine. We all saw the videotape where the former mayor possessed the cocaine, possessed the woman selling the cocaine, and purchased the cocaine. So he served his time, did his penance, and came back to his people, where he was overwhelmingly elected to the City Council of Washington, D.C. I think Ward 9 is his new digs, where he's representing. So he showed up yesterday at City Hall in Washington to be sworn in as the newly elected council member. He showed up in his Chrysler New Yorker, 1991 Burgundy model. $30,000 1991 Chrysler New Yorker, which was purchased for him by supporters. They passed the hat in Washington, D.C. A friend of the mayor's, former councilman H.R. Crawford, said, "We passed a hat to get him an appropriate gift. I felt sad about how the mayor's tenure ended. So they passed a hat amongst the residents of Ward 9. And somehow the residents of Ward 9 who are impoverished, who are living in squalor in many parts of Ward 9, somehow came up with enough money to buy Marion Barry his $30,000 1991 Chrysler New Yorker. So he arrives at City Hall yesterday to be sworn in. Outside City Hall, a thief glided into the driver's side seat and drove off in Marion Barry's 1991 Chrysler New Yorker. Burgundy, by the way, is the color. It's parked right there in its reserved parking space at the District Building on Pennsylvania Avenue, only 4 blocks from the Clinton White House. Only 4 blocks from the White House. Closer than the Hay Adams Hotel. And Marion Barry's 1991 Burgundy Chrysler New Yorker was stolen. After a short chase, police recovered the car in an alley in southeast Washington. The thief drove it to Marion Barry's district, parked it in an alleyway, and was caught. 19-year-old kid just happened to take the keys from Marion Barry's coat in his unlocked office. Marion Barry, do you want to know what he said about this? You've just been told that your 1991 Burgundy Chrysler New Yorker, $30,000 gift given to you by the impoverished people you represent, said there's something strange going on here. I don't understand. It's called thievery. We don't understand.
The lady that I know just came from Colombia. She smiled because I did not understand. Then she held out a 10-pound bag of cocaine. She said it was the finest in the land. And I said, no, 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 I don't smoke it no more. I'm tired of waking up on the floor. No, thank you, please, it only makes me sneeze. Then it makes it hard to find a door.
Something strange going on here. I don't understand. Well, your car was stolen, Mr. Former Mayor. Folks, you know, it is just, all I do is show up. I just have to open the newspapers. It's so nice now that I have the largest staff in the country working for me, all Democrats elected to office. And I'm paying them. I pay taxes, but I'll tell you, I have got some of the best joke writers and some of the best comedy skits. It's like the author Philip Roth, who gave up writing novels. Says, I cannot come up with anything that outdoes the reality around me. I cannot create fiction that's stranger than what's really happening. So I'm quitting. Well, let's look at some of this stuff that's really happening. Did you see our television show last night? Did you ever see it? Last night, we showed some videotapes. I hadn't had a chance to comment on this. The case of the Shue family. David and Sharon Shue. What nationality do you suppose S-C-H-O-O is? What nationality would that be? Shue. Dutch or German? Let's call them German. I mean, Germans are the absolute pits right now. I mean, if there's more, if there's a society that we hate more than anybody else, it's the Germans, right? I know that because I'm part German. I feel the abuse out there. I feel the pain. I feel the discrimination. I can't do anything about it because I'm a white guy. But it's out there. So let's make them German because these are horrible people, right? This is the thing now. Let me just set the stage. If you didn't see the TV show last night, I was struck, folks. After a while, these are the parents, by the way, who left their 14 and 9 or 9 and 4. 9 and 4-year-old little girls home while they went to Cancun. Was it Cancun they went to? They went to Acapulco at Christmas. They went to Mexico at Christmas, leaving the 9 and 4-year-old little girls at home. And we know this because they called 911 to find out something. Said they were lonely. So These two parents, David and Sharon Shue, get off the plane at Chicago's O'Hare International Spaceport upon their return. And there to greet them is a contingent of cops, detectives, and media that probably outnumbered the cops, media, and detectives that surrounded John Gotti. And I was astounded. I mean, after all, I do not, as I said last night on television, I do not defend these two. I'm not, I mean, I'm a big family values guy, and clearly going to Acapulco and leaving the kids at home with nothing but a bunch of donuts and chocolate cakes and stuff and charge privileges at the grocery store is not right. Shouldn't happen. But come on. These people were surrounded by this big contingent of media, cops, detectives, and so forth, and they're no threat to society. They were coming home. I can understand if these people were running away, if they were trying to escape the jurisdiction, if they were fleeing to escape bond, but they were coming home. They were going home so that those home alone would have company. And instead, they were met by this mob. It just was overkill. And then each of them being given $50,000 bond, $100,000 total. It just struck me as being a little much. So I asked some people, so why the big deal about this? I'm serious. Why the big deal? I mean, is it that odd? I mean, some parents leave kids home a lot. I don't know for 14 days or 9 days, however long these were gone or whatever, but it just seemed a little overkill. Somebody said to me, hey, it's only because of these Home Alone movies out there. If it weren't because these Home Alone movies are out there, it wouldn't have been a story. But the media can tie it into these movies and never become a story. Which just, when they told me this in a production meeting, a TV show yesterday afternoon, I just went berserk. Because if there's one thing I'm sick of besides Amy Fisher and Joey Buttafuoco, it is Macaulay Culkin. I've had it up to my eyebrows with this 8-year-old kid. Actually, I have nothing against the kid, except I'm tired of seeing the kid. I'm tired. See, I live in New York, folks, and you don't know what it's like living in New York, opening the newspapers and having to read what... We have to read who this 8-year-old kid is sleeping with. We have to read who he's dating, what discos he's going to, what new mega movie deals he's working on, what new movies he's going to see. He's an 8-year-old kid. And he's being treated as he's some, the Beatles, all rolled into one. And I'm just fed up with it. I'm tired of it. If I never see Macaulay Culkin again or see him treated as it's really sick. It really, and then there's the same old thing with Amy Fisher and the Buttafuoco family. Oh, what a... Do you know that on Sunday night, the Amy Fisher's story aired on ABC and CBS, and combined, the audiences were like 85 million people watched this stuff. 85 million. Prove it. Philip Roth's complaint is true. He can't come up with fiction that outdoes any of this reality. So, anyway, I thought that, and then, who is this Wesley Allen, what's his name? The guy out in, Wesley Allen died, the guy in Walla Walla, Washington, wanted to be hanged. By the way, you people out there, I just want to give you a quick grammatic lesson. It's not hung. You do not say he was hung at, you really don't say, depending on who you're with. He was hanged is the correct, people don't, yes, people don't think that's right, but it is. He was hanged. He was not hung. He wanted to be hanged, not wanted to be hung. It's not the way you say it. He may have wanted to be, but it's hanged. Well, anyway, he was. And while all this was going on, I mean, here's the guy saying, hey, you had better put me away. Because if you don't, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to rape and I'm going to strangle and I'm going to kill little kids again. I can't help myself. I want the peace of Christ. I want to die. And I want to die the way I killed one of these kids. I want to be hanged. So we had this parade of, you know, these little do-gooders out there holding hands in a church. We shall overcome. We shall have peace. The guy wants to be hanged. It's the law. It's okay in the state of Washington. It's an approved form of capital punishment. In the meantime, we got these two parents getting off a plane in Chicago, coming home, not fleeing, not running away, and there are more people thinking these people ought to be done away with, punished, or whatever. Here's this guy who has killed 3 kids, promises to do it again, and there are people out there saying, we must not be cruel. I just thought that this was an interesting juxtaposition of attitudes in our society. And I wanted to share it with you. And it still doesn't change. I'm still tired of Macaulay Culkin. And I haven't even seen the movies. I haven't even seen, no, I'm not hung up about Macaulay Culkin. Oh, you people, see, you've latched onto a word in there now. I'll tell you. Well, let's take a break. Oh, wait. There's another related case. Right here, we've got another criminal, this time in New Jersey. Well, it's a rapist this time. This is a big case, too. Big case, too. So we got to take a break here because I'm a little bit over time. And when we come back, I'll tell you about that. And then we'll go to your phone calls, too. Stay right where you are.
You're listening to the EIB Network. Following Rush, join Larry Martin for the latest news on WTIC AM 1080.
Okay, you folks hear me reading CompuServe commercials, telling you about CompuServe all the time, my favorite online service. And the reason for it is that it has so much information. I get a lot of letters from people who claim that I ought to sign on other places. I've signed on all those other places. And they're fine. I mean, I have no quarrel, but I'm telling you, I like CompuServe better. The reason CompuServe's an advertiser here is because we went and got them. Understand this. It took us 9 months to get CompuServe. We wanted them to sponsor this show because I use it. And I wanted to share the benefits of CompuServe with you. Now, in the process of this ongoing relationship, they have changed their pricing structure and have established a $7.95 per month basic service charge, which includes a lot of services plus electronic mail. However, there's some confusion. The $7.95 basic per month charge does not include access to forums. Those are extra charges. Make sure you understand that. But they're well worth it. Call CompuServe and subscribe. 800-621-1253. That's 1-800-621-1253.
Are you tired of earning only 2 to 4% on your money at the bank?
You bet I am.
Want to find out how U.S. Gem quality rare coins have given investors returns upwards of 200% and how they've outperformed stocks, bonds, and CDs?
Sure, but how?
Call International's toll-free number.
What'll I get?
Important information on how profitable and safe rare coin investing can be. Call 800-677-8495. 800-677-8495. Suggested investment of $10,000. Call now, 800-677-8495.
Sandy, come on. We're going to Sears where all furniture and mattresses are on sale.
I think I'm all shopped out.
Sears has every mattress, every sofa, every bedroom and dining room set, every recliner.
Maybe next week.
Plus special purchase and value-priced items, which are also great value.
Early next week.
But all this furniture is only on sale through Monday.
Monday? Well, what are you waiting for? Warm up the car. I'll get my Sears charge.
All furniture and mattresses are on sale, but only through Monday at Sears Home Life in most Sears stores.
You can count on me, Sears Roebuck and Company.
Tell me, have you ever wondered if advanced technology is the only smart way to treat your skin? We did. So we created Origins, the totally new concept in cosmetics. We believe that while technology offers us wonderful achievements, we shouldn't forget the power of nature. So to create our new skincare line, we consulted the expert, Mother Nature. We learned there are special blends of botanicals that can travel through the millions of pores in our skin, like Morse code, to actually improve skin's condition. We learned which ones normalize, energize, clarify, and control different types of skin. And we team them with some savvy science to create a simple pair of products. We call them Origin Skincare Pairs. And there's a perfect pair for you at G Fox. Right now, while supplies last, experience your skincare pair with a special 30-day introductory size for just $10. So come to the Origins counter exclusively at selected G-Fox stores and discover the power of nature.
It's so dark in here. Is the light burned out?
The light is loose.
The light's loose?
And if you stand on this chair, you'll see a loose light.
What a fun way to learn Spanish.
Well, in Spanish, chair is silla, and loose means light.
So stand on a chair, silla, loose, light. Oh, I get it.
You can learn Spanish, French, German, or Japanese, too. Not by memorizing, but by visualizing and association.
So sit down on your silla and call National Dynamics Speed Tapes at 1-800-545-1985.
1-800-545-1985.
Eso sí, que es.
Get the latest news and weather on WTIC AM 1080.
We're back on the EIB network and the Rush Limbaugh program. All right, now, here's this thing I was referring to that I had to stop and take a break before I could mention it to you. A guy raped some young kids some years ago. A guy named, where is it? Donald Chapman. He's an ex-con. He's been in jail for 12 years. Been in prison for 12 years, and he has said that he didn't want to be paroled because, psychologists say that if he's let out, he will rape again within a month. That this guy is a compulsive rapist of young girls, and that it is ridiculous to let him out of prison. It makes no sense whatsoever. But the law is structured in such a way they can't hold him in jail any longer than he's been in based upon the crime for which he was convicted. He is now living in the home of his parents in Wyckoff, New Jersey, 15,500 population. And the people in charge there are spending $2,000 a day keeping him under surveillance. They're actually watching the guy to make sure that he doesn't commit a crime. Guess who's upset about this? The ACLU and other civil libertarians are condemning this surveillance by the police because they say that it violates his right to privacy and that this is totally unconstitutional. They say that, one of the people doing this, Ed Martone, who's the executive director of the New Jersey chapter of the ACLU, said that, quote, "In no way am I suggesting this is not a legitimate concern, but we couldn't possibly do this for everybody who is deemed dangerous." This is, I think, cuts to the quick here of really what people perceive to be wrong with the criminal judicial system, the criminal justice system. We know people are going to commit a crime, and we can't legally stop them. We can't do anything about it until they have acted or committed the crime. And to have surveillance, just because we can't afford to do it for everybody, we shouldn't do it. I can think of a lot of great things that we can get out of doing with that argument. We can't afford to give everybody a $30,000 a year income, so let's not give anybody one. I mean, that'd be the greatest argument in the world I've ever heard of for getting rid of all the welfare. Well, we can't afford to keep an eye on everybody. We shouldn't, it's deemed dangerous, we shouldn't get started here. This guy's 37 years old. He was released from prison last month after serving 12 years of a 10 to 20-year sentence for abducting, raping, and sodomizing a 23-year-old woman who was bicycling in West Milford, New Jersey. In 1973, this guy was found guilty of threatening 3 girls in Mahwah, New Jersey, with a knife and tying 2 of them to a tree. They escaped. All the psychological reports say the guy remains a big danger. They got to let him out. They've got no choice, and they want to keep an eye on him And the ACLU says, you can't do it. I mean, we're out of whack, folks. Out of phase, 180 degrees again. Back in just a moment.
Dear Hooked on Phonics, my son has shown great progress in his ability to read and comprehend since we ordered Hooked on Phonics. His motivation to do well is much improved, as well as his self-confidence. Now I no longer need to read his homework instructions to him. I can say without reservation that Hooked on Phonics is an outstanding program. Signed, J.R., New Franken, Wisconsin. For Hooked on Phonics plus SRA Reading Laboratories, call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
It's 1:30 and 58 degrees in Hartford. I'm Paul Douglas, WTIC 1080 News. A legislative task force is recommending expanding legalized gambling in Connecticut, giving state lawmakers a plan to work with when it considers the issue during the legislative session that begins tomorrow. That session will convene tomorrow at 10 o'clock, session number 65, with a mix of trepidation and excitement underscoring the day. Budget problems continue to worry lawmakers. At the same time, the legislature is set to be injected with some new blood because nearly a third of its members are brand new. In Ledger, the Mashantucket Pequot Indian tribe held a news conference today to officially name former New Jersey gaming chief Michael Brown to head up its casino. From the WTIC 24-hour traffic network, we're in pretty good shape through the city. No reports of any problems on either 91 or 84. Earlier, we told you about northbound 91 traffic north of the city being tied up for a bit. Got no further information on that. If you see something, 247-NEWS, the number to call, 247-NEWS. Wall Street last look, blue chip stocks are up 8.37, just over 8 1/3 points. Now the forecast from the WTIC New England Weather Service and meteorologist Dave Goldbaum. David?
Afternoon, just a chance for a brief passing shower, otherwise partial clearing from west to east. Windy and turning colder as temperatures will fall to the 40s by evening. Becoming clear and cold tonight, lows around 30. Wednesday, sunshine, some clouds mixing in during the day. Highs will be in the upper 30s and lower 40s. Thursday looks partly sunny with highs 35 to 40 degrees. Right now with a southwest wind at 14 miles an hour, it's 58 degrees at the weather station WTIC AM 1080.
Connecticut's news leader, keeping you in touch 24 hours a day. WTIC AM 1080.
Homeowners, do you have some things you'd like to do around the house but don't have the money to do them? Call 1-800-592-4488 now and find out how a home equity line from HFC could help give life to the good ideas you have for your home. Now's an especially good time to use the money from your home's equity to improve it because interest rates are lower than they have been in years. So why not take advantage of them and add value to your home at the same time? Use your HFC credit line for any home improvement. When you need some money, all you do is write checks. You pay interest only on the money you use. And when you pay back what you've borrowed, your credit line returns to its full amount again. If you own your home, call now. A home equity line from HFC could be the best investment you make in your home's future, especially at today's low interest rates. So start the fast approval process now. There's no obligation. Real estate loans are made by Household Realty Corporation. Call 1-800-592-4488. That's 1-800-592-4488.
Larry Martin and WTIC's First News starting at 3.
Rush Limbaugh.
Screams of joy at the sheer mention of my name. Rush Limbaugh. Your guiding light through times of trouble, confusion, murkiness, despair, tumult, chaos, and good times, which we're all about to have, right? Here is Ed from Salt Lake City. Ed, thank you for waiting, and welcome to the program.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Hey, I always wanted to say that to you.
I understand how that is.
Cord-busting dittos from Salt Lake City here, Rush.
Cord-busting dittos. It's a little wood-chopping lingo for you members of Earth First.
Nah, other way around. Woodshedding.
Wood shedding.
Barber shopping dittos.
Oh,
Sorry,
CHORD.
Yes.
As in, okay.
As in singing, as in a different type of music that
Got you.
everybody else listens to.
Right, a cappella. Got
Yes.
you. 10-4.
Bo asked me to get right to it, so I will.
Thanks for doing it.
Yes. There's an article on today's newspapers.
Which one? Which newspaper?
Salt Lake Tribune.
Salt Lake Tribune.
It is by Clarence Page, Chicago Tribune Service.
The nationally syndicated columnist.
Yes, sir. His headline says that Clinton's a master of having it both ways. And I do have to agree he is.
Why do you need Clarence Page telling you this? Are you a regular listener of this show?
Yes, I am.
Well, then why are you calling here to quote Clarence Page? Why aren't you calling the Chicago Tribune and say, why are you running this column? You guys, if you just reprint what Rush Limbaugh has been saying for the past 6 months, you wouldn't need to run Clarence Page's column, because it's exactly what I've been saying. This is the definition of slick.
Absolutely.
So why are you calling here to tell me what Clarence Page said about it?
Well, I thought you might be interested in some of the credit he's been getting for doing that.
So the credit who's been getting?
Clinton has.
Clinton's been getting credit for, oh, you mean Clarence Page is saying it's a good thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
He says when he got up there and all these special interest groups and women's groups said he's not doing the cabinet as, like he told, a profile of America. He got up there and called him a bean counter and said, look, I'm going to do what I have already set out to do. And then he states later on that when he calmed down, he proceeded to appoint more women and minorities to cabinet posts than any other president ever did.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not too awfully difficult, considering we haven't had a whole lot.
Well, the point here, this is a good example of how Clinton does have it both ways. And first place, he comes out and criticizes the bean counters and says, I'll be damned if I'm going to be blah, blah, blah. Who are they to tell me I'm doing this, and I only interviewed her, and I only interviewed a woman for that. And then, after getting credit, I'm sure a bunch of Reagan Democrats and good old boys said, anyway, Bill, you tell them broads. You tell them. You know there's a faction out there that I'm sure enjoyed his reaction. I predicted it. That's why you don't need the Clarence Page column. But then, as you point out, after it dies down, he goes ahead and does what the bean counters want him to do anyway. So it's a way of it's the Sister Soldier technique, folks. It's the same thing. I'm telling you, you people keep an eye on this man. He is brilliant. I am telling you, this stuff happens naturally. I really don't believe that he sits around and deviously plots. I think it happens naturally. I don't think he has to sit down the night before. So, all right, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say these words, blah, 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 say those words. And then a couple days later, it just happens. There's some people who are just naturals at this. And I think that he's one of them. But I'll tell you, the bottom line is that he has focused on diversity rather than the best. I made this point yesterday. I'm going to continue to make this point, because it is, I think, a great way to show the inherent flaw of the so-called good intentions of our good friends on the left. You see, we are not nice people unless we recognize that all people are equal. It doesn't matter what their skin color is, or what their gender is, or what their sexual orientation is, or what their past is, we are all good people. Except for white people, men primarily, who have been mean to all other good people. So it's time to get even by having all the good people finally treat the bad people bad. And so that's what's at work here. What's happened is that in this recipe, trying to look at people as equal and good and the same, we have to notice the very thing that makes them different. We have to say female, Hispanic, black, male, gay, whatever, and then put them in certain slots in the administration because of that characteristic about them. Not their talents, not their capabilities, not their qualifications, but the things we're not supposed to notice about them. It is just the exact opposite of the way it forces the prejudice. It reinforces the idea of difference, not togetherness and oneness and goodness and niceness. It just is. This is what exacerbates the relationships between the races. It exacerbates the tensions that exist between the sexes and all that. While this is, see, the intentions, we get good intentions. Who cares if it doesn't work? We're trying. It's the same reason why all of the myths about homelessness are never reported. It doesn't matter. They may be making up the number of people homeless. It doesn't matter. They may be lying about why. They're trying to help, aren't they? Isn't that the important thing? They're trying to help. Same thing here. We are looking past the important things, focusing on what's supposed to be unimportant, making it important, and people say, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. That's not supposed to be important. Skin color, gender, race, not supposed to be important. But you're saying it's the most important thing. I don't understand. Well, that's because you're a bigot. And that's how it works. If you followed that and could pass a pop quiz, then you are good. I know I was giving you a big dose of it all in one, but that's exactly it, folks. And the people on the left think that that is good. They think, oh, finally, great strides are being made. I'm going to say something else. Stand by. Because I take a lot of heat on this. I take a lot of heat every time I bring this up, but this new cabinet and the sub-cabinet level appointees prove it. I call your attention once again to undeniable truth of life number 24. Feminism was established so as to allow unattractive women easier access to the mainstream of society. I challenge you to find one babe among any of the Clinton female nominees. One. You can't find one babe. To the contrary, folks, you find the opposite. Now, I'm sorry for noticing this, but somebody has to be on the cutting edge here. You look, I'm telling you. It's there. It's, if you'll just believe it, the evidence is in front of you. You can sit there and deny this. You can think that I am cold-hearted. You can think that I am shallow. You can think that I am baseless. You can think that I am absolutely horrible. But nevertheless, I'm right. You know what I ought to do to prove this? You know what I ought to do? Why not? I'll tell you what we should do on a TV show sometime. Remember, I pointed this out in Houston at the Republican convention. Remember Condoleezza Rice Bowe, Bush's foreign policy, a babe. She's all right. How about Elizabeth Dole, a babe? We can go. How about Carla Hills, a babe? How about the state treasurer of Texas, Kay Bailey Hutchison, a babe? We could put the pictures of these ranking Republican women up there. Diana, just chill out in there. The editor of the newsletter is about to resign, I think. She threatens that every time I bring this subject up. We could do it. Now, look, I know. Why not? We call it the first cabinet beauty contest and do it on Rush Limbaugh, the TV show. And we'll just show you. We'll just show you. I mean, we'll put Kay Bailey Hutchison up there, and here's Donna. Not going to mention any names. But, no, not swimsuits. No. We don't need to make this unfair. No. Can you imagine when Patricia Ireland hears about this? They're doing a beauty contest. They hate that anyway. Look, I want to say something. I am not in any way saying that the qualifications of these women in the Clinton team are in any way affected by this. Don't misunderstand. I'm not judging their effectiveness. I'm going to judge their qualifications as not being the best by virtue of the way Clinton chose them. When he only interviewed women for a certain job, only interviewed one woman for HHS, Donna Shalala. I mean, she's the best. Remember when Bush nominated Clarence Thomas? You telling us he's the best out there for the Supreme Court? And Bush said, yeah. You lying sack of... So here's Clinton only interviewing Donna Shalala for Health and Human Services. Is anybody saying, are you telling us she's the only qualified, the best one out there? Nobody's asking him that. I'm telling you, it's a double standard out there, folks, when it comes to this stuff, and the eyes don't lie. The way it is, you believe none of what you hear, half of what you see, and you'll be okay. Hi, welcome back. Rush Limbaugh on radio on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, Renaissance Radio, as it were. Welcome to the Renaissance year. They can have their Renaissance weekends if they want. We do Renaissance every day here. All right, now, I know a number of you people out there are probably distressed and shocked and stunned. And so in the interest of fairness, let's talk about ugly men. Let's talk about unattractive men. It's been suggested that if I'm going to have a beauty contest, a cabinet beauty contest on my TV show, a side-by-side comparison, that we should do this for the men, too. We could do it, but it wouldn't mean diddly squat. We could do it. You know why it doesn't mean anything? There is no movement out there which seeks, as part of its agenda, to make life fair for unattractive men. It just doesn't exist. There is a new group out there that's the Anglo-American Lobby, which I think is having a fledgling beginning, but it doesn't exist. But I'd be glad to do this. I mean, if you want to get, if that would solve this for you, if fairness means bringing in unattractive men to this whole mix, fine. I am more than willing. I'm more than willing to do it, but it doesn't matter. And that, don't you see, is the crux of the problem. That really is the entire crux of the problem. That's why some feminists are angry. Look, somebody's got to say this stuff to you. Can anybody, is there one movement out there, one political movement that seeks to redress the discrimination that occurs against men because they happen to be unattractive? No. I've just been handed a note, ladies and gentlemen, from the Atlanta Urinal and Constipation, published on the 4th of December of last year, nary a month ago. I read to you from this dispatch. Chalk another one up here, folks. Because you know what I've always said? I have said one of the ways that we can level the playing field of foreign competition is to export liberalism, right? What we need to do is export all of these social do-gooder organizations and causes. We need an office of the Now Gang in Japan, have an office of ACT UP open somewhere in Hong Kong or whatever, and just equalize things. Make our foreign competitors face the same challenges that our domestic. So, do you know that there is an ordinance that was passed out in Santa Cruz, California, that protects the rights of the ugly? You cannot discriminate in hiring or renting an apartment or whatever based on someone's appearance. Read, you can't not rent to the ugly. I read now from the Atlanta urinal constipation, December 4th. Just from our archives. There it is. Ugly rights. A bill to protect the rights of the ugly by forbidding job discrimination on the basis of physical appearance has been filed in the Philippine Congress. See, this exportation is working. The measure would prohibit government agencies from denying jobs to people on the basis of facial features, build, and height, except in such professions as modeling or public relations. So if you're in modeling or in PR in the Philippines, you can still get away with not hiring the ugly. Now, the question always comes down to who's going to define who's ugly. Well, I can think of another bunch of people to put in charge of that. Well, give me a while before I come up with any names or at least announce them publicly. But my friends, I am not alone on this. I mean, you think that I am grasping at straws, making things up. I'm telling you, I'm on the cutting edge. I'm not making it up. We'll take this down to the TV show and show it to you if you believe I'm making it up. Anybody can sit here on the radio and write something, make it up, and say, it came from a newspaper. I have it right there. So, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to the EIB Network. Talk with Michael Harrison tonight on WTIC AM 1080.
Here's news about a revolutionary product that's energizing America. It's called Ginsana. Ginsana is the most unique herbal product in history. I'm Dr. Ronald Hoffman, medical doctor and nutritionist. If you get tired easily, if you've lost your competitive edge, you should know about Ginsana. Ginsana is the all-natural, energizing ginseng capsule. Ginsana is the first standardized ginseng extract, the only ginseng product clinically tested for 25 years. Who benefits from Ginsana? Middle-aged men and women, senior citizens, busy executives, college students, and athletes. It's often imitated, but there's only one Ginsana. All natural, no sugar, no caffeine. If you tire easily, if you've lost your competitive edge, try Ginsana and feel the energy.
Ginsana at Kmart, Rite Aid, Osco Save-On, GNC, Eckerd, Fred Meyer, Winn-Dixie, Hook, Super X, Thrift, Treasury, Drug, and Natural Food Stores. For a free brochure, call 800-GINSANA, GINSANA.
Hi, this is Larry Martin with your personal invitation to join the afternoon team weekdays from 3 to 6. Arnold Dean stops by with frequent sports updates. Matt Flory and Judy DeCipio with your news. Meteorologists Dave Goldbaum and Bob Cox with what to look out for in weather. Mike Allen's live airborne traffic. And some great surprise guests from time to time. Join us weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 on WTIC AM 1080, where you don't miss a thing.
Help someone listening. Help someone hear. Can somebody take the pain and make it disappear?
Finally, someone understands all pain is not the same.
For the help where it hurts.
Introducing new aspirin-free Bayer Select.
For the help where it hurts.
Yes, aspirin-free.
For the help where it hurts. With Bayer Select.
Bayer Select is not one, but 5 different aspirin-free products for 5 different kinds of pain. Sinus, headache, nighttime, menstrual, and minor arthritis pain. Because all pain is not the same.
Put the help where it hurts.
Now it's even easier to put the help where it hurts. Look for the money-saving coupons and rebate offer in your January 10th Sunday paper. Save up to $8 on new aspirin-free Bayer Select. Use only as directed.
Put the help where it hurts. With Bayer Select.
I'm Dr. Dean Adele. The issues of health and medicine are not confined to the best prescription for a given condition. For instance, should you take estrogen after the menopause? You see, prescriptions can also be for society as a whole. How are children educated? The policies and laws that govern how we live. You might not realize it, but these are also health issues. Please join me as we talk about your health and the health of our society on the Dr. Dean Adele Show.
Saturdays 10 to 12 noon on WTIC AM 1080, where you don't miss a thing. Talk with Colin McEnroe middays on WTIC AM 1080.
Rush Limbaugh with talent on loan from God. 800-282-2882. Might be a good idea to take a phone call now. And so we go to San Diego. This is Andy. Andy, welcome to the program.
Ditto's, Rush.
Thank you.
I had a question for you.
Sure.
And I thought that you would be the best person to ask. It has to do with big government versus small government.
Yeah.
And do you think that the regulation of the free market system is an attempt to make society fair and equal?
Do I think that the regulation of the free market system is an attempt to make society fair and equal? Is that your question?
Yes, as it relates, maybe to the airline industry. People are complaining that the prices of airline fares are too high right now, and that I've heard some people say that maybe the government ought to step in and do something about this.
Well, the airline industry is, I think they're in a free fall right now, and their fares are they're saying their fares are too low to make a profit, even when they're flying full planes with full cargo loads and everything else. I see where Northwest has just said they're going to lay off 1,000 more people. But at the same time, TWA is supposedly rebounding now, with getting Carl Icahn out of the picture and moving into another ownership structure. I think that the basis of regulation is protection of the consumer. And while it's similar to many well-intentioned things, sometimes it just gets way, way too excessive and interrupts the basic free flow of the free market, obviously.
Well, Rush, do you feel that was how our founding fathers intended the role of the government to be, was to protect the consumer in such instances?
Oh, no, I think that the founding fathers, I haven't read, what they wrote in their Wharton Business School term papers. But I think that, if you look for original intent of the founding fathers, you get into a pretty controversial area, say in the selection of judicial nominees, Supreme Court nominees, and so forth. Robert Bork was disqualified, in fact, by liberals because he believes in the original intent. But no, I think government has taken on many, many aspects that the founding fathers never envisioned. One of them, this massive taxation that we are subject to. Anyway, look, I'm glad you called, Andy. Thanks. We are sadly out of time for this hour. We'll be back. See you again. More Rush. It's me after WTIC AM 1080 News. Next.
Dear Hooked on Phonics, in the first grade, my grandson attended a special reading program. It didn't help. In the second and third grades, he was enrolled in a special reading class at school. This didn't help either. Finally, we ordered Hooked on Phonics, and his grades went from C's and D's to A's and B's. Thanks to Hooked on Phonics, my grandson got the help he needed. Signed CS, Jamaica, New York. For Hooked on Phonics plus SRA Reading Laboratories, call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
Gather your family together to meet a family they'll love.
Colorado Springs needs a doctor, and I happen to be one.
She came to the frontier to save lives.
No one around here's ever heard of a lady doctor.
It was always the first time.
And it's another first for her when she inherits 3 orphans.
I never claimed to know anything about being a mother.
Now, a mysterious loner might be her only chance for survival.
I was hoping that we might learn from one another.
Jane Seymour is Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, a sweeping adventure for the entire family. Saturday on CBS.
WTIC, Hartford.
It's 2 o'clock and 60 degrees. Good afternoon. I'm Matt Fleury, WTIC 1080 News. Supporters say casinos in Hartford and Bridgeport may be in the cards after today's vote by the state legislature's Casino Task Force. The task force has voted 12-6 to recommend lawmakers change state laws to allow casino gambling in the state. Among the 6 votes against was that of State Public Safety Commissioner Nicholas Chiaffi. He says the task force report skimmed over some key issues.
We really didn't explore in depth the social issues. We did not explore in depth
the change of character that it produces when it comes into an area. It's unique. It's sui generis when it comes to the bringing it into a capital city. There is nothing like that as far as I know of in the United States.
The Casino Gambling Task Force vote is only a yardstick, but some proponents say it will influence the legislature's vote. After the vote, Senator William DiBella of Hartford said the result shows that casino gambling is a viable way to revitalize Hartford and Bridgeport, where casino plans have been announced. Governor Weicker says he will oppose the casinos all the way. By the way, listen for live coverage of the governor's State of the State address to a joint session of the legislature as it convenes tomorrow. That's live at noon on WTIC AM 1080 tomorrow. Senators and House members have taken the oaths of office for the 103rd Congress in Washington. Illinois Democrat Carol Mosley Braun flashed a big thumbs-up sign today as she was sworn in as that state's first black woman. A Stamford shipping outfit has a major problem on its hands today. B&H Ship Management Company handles the Brer, a tanker carrying some 24 million gallons of light crude oil. It smashed aground in near hurricane-force winds today off Aberdeen, Scotland. Some of the oil has already spilled from holes gashed in the hull south of the Shetland Islands. Severe weather is hampering relief efforts, even preventing flyovers to check the damage. In a thoughtful address at West Point Military Academy this afternoon, President Bush explored what many feel have been the most masterful strokes of his administration, the decisions the president makes before sending troops to battle.
Using military force makes sense as a policy where the stakes warrant, where and when force can be effective, where no other policies are likely to prove effective, where its application can be limited in scope and time, and where the potential benefits justify the potential costs and sacrifice.
While the president says he found force was the answer in both Iraq and Somalia, he says the conflict in the former Yugoslavia presents different problems. The president did sound a clear warning to Serbian forces that the U.S. will support a United Nations-sponsored military effort to stop their attacks on Bosnia, perhaps in the form of a no-fly zone. More violence in Somalia's capital. Marine Colonel Fred Peck says Marines were fired on today when they encountered a firefight between Somali gangs. Peck says a Marine shot and may have killed a Somali gunman. Meanwhile, a Somali driver for the Associated Press was fatally shot when gunmen tried to rob some AP journalists today. White House spokesman Marlin Fitzwater says the Bush administration decided a month ago to reject the sale of a chemical plant to Iran. Today's Washington Post says the U.S. is considering the sale. The plant could make a chemical warfare agent as a byproduct. Another Hartford deputy sheriff is under arrest on charges of dealing drugs in the halls of justice. State police say 46-year-old Melvin Braswell of Hartford was picked up in a rear corridor of Hartford Superior Court today. He's charged with criminal attempt to deliver narcotics and other counts, including attempt to convey unauthorized items into a correctional institute. On Wall Street, the Dow up 6.5. Traffic and weather together next from WTIC AM 1080.
This is the time of year when menswear stores have clearance sales, and Yale Jensen is no exception. We're having our clearance, too. However, there is a big difference. To us, a clearance suit is a suit that we've had for 3 months. It's a very current suit. If you'd bought it 3 months ago, you might have worn it twice by now. To some other stores, a clearance suit is something they bought 3 years ago. It may be new, but it looks like the one you gave to the Goodwill last week. Another difference is that our clearance is from our inventory. We don't buy special garments that we wouldn't be caught dead with at any other time of year. Of course, all Yale Jensen suits come with impeccable tailoring and free alterations on the life of the garment. And of course, the values are exceptional. In other words, it's a real clearance from a quality menswear store. And it's on now at Yale Jensen, Riverdale Road, West Springfield. Full service, not full price.
The station Connecticut turns to for official weather information. WTIC AM 1080.
Roads are looking pretty good in the greater Hartford area. No new calls of traffic problems or delays, but if you see one, the number is 247-NEWS to keep us up to date so we can pass on the information to the other listeners. Now here's the New England Weather Service forecast.
On through the afternoon, partial clearing, but still a passing shower. Windy and turning colder. Temperatures will fall to the 40s by evening. Becoming clear and cold tonight, lows around 30 degrees. On Wednesday, sunshine, some clouds mixing in during the day. Highs between 38 and 42. Thursday looks partly sunny and chilly with highs 35 to 40. Right now, with a west-northwest wind at 20 miles an hour, it's an even 60 at the weather station, WTIC AM 1080.
Thank you, Dave, and I'm Matt Fleury on Connecticut's news and information station, WTIC AM 1080.
Giving you more reasons than ever to listen, WTIC AM 1080 presents America's most listened to talk show host, Rush Limbaugh. The views and opinions expressed on the Rush Limbaugh Show are exclusively those of Rush Limbaugh and not necessarily those of WTIC management or its sponsors.
Welcome back, or if you're a welfare recipient just getting out of bed, welcome, period, to the Rush Limbaugh program here on the EIB network. Glad you're with us as 1993 here at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies is off to a rollicking good start as our dominance of the broadcast medium continues unabated. If you want to be on our program today, 800-282-2882. Look at this headline. Wait, this is the radio show. Let me read this headline to you. By the way, what is it that I have recently coined as a phrase to aptly describe what liberalism really is? Symbolism over substance. Is that not correct? That's what I... And how did this come to be created? Well, it's because of what happened in Boulder, Colorado in December. Remember in Boulder, Colorado, they put out this big plea for poor blacks to come move in so they could balance out all the rich whites that live there. And then when we called attention to what they really meant, no, we didn't mean that. Yes, you did. That's what you said. No, well, you're interpreting it the wrong way. No, you can't. I attach meaning to what you say, you liberals. See, many of you liberals just say things so that you will feel good about yourself. Because when you say it and people hear it, why, it sounds good, and you have made them think that you are a good person. But if meaning is attached to much of what liberals actually say, then you find the flaws. And liberals, therefore, engage in symbolism over substance. So I am poring through the newspapers this morning in deep, dark preparation for this program due to my dedication to you. And I stumble across this story in USA Today. Headline, it's about the inauguration. It's about Clinton and the bus tours, the trips from Monticello to the bridge, to the ringing of the bells, to all of this stuff that's going to happen on this 4-day party. Headline, symbolism is substance of inaugural. This is what I mean, folks, when I say they just roll it out on a red carpet for me. Symbolism is substance of inaugural. If I really were lost on an ego trip, I would go further. I would say that the headline writer at USA Today listens to me, hates me, and wrote that headline to stick it in my face. Take this, Limbaugh. Symbolism is the substance of the inaugural. This guy probably disagrees with my theory, or she, who knows, that symbolism, so symbolism over substance. You got to admit this. Who else in the last 6 years has been put these two words together and have the symbolism over substance. Who's done it? And then all of a sudden in USA Today, symbolism is substance of inaugural. Make a note. Take this down to TV. What else do we have here? I'll talk about that later. Oh, this is about California and the floods and the snow. The 6-year drought that has plagued my beloved state of California. I absolutely love it out there. I don't care where I go in California. I love it. I enjoy it. Even Needles, because you just drive through there. You don't stop. But I've lived out there. I've lived out there for almost 4 years. And they've been in this drought, and every time it rains, I want to talk about attitude, positive thinking, attitude, and so forth. Every time it rains in California, there's somebody quick that stands up and says, this doesn't mean anything. Don't get your hopes up. We're still in the midst of the worst drought in the history of civilization. And it doesn't mean anything. It clearly does. If you're in a drought and you get as much snow, what you people don't know, the snowpack in the Sierra Nevada mountain range has as much to do with the water supply in California as the amount of rain they get. And the water content of the snowpack is up dramatically. It's up incredibly. As measured just so far this year as measured against the same time of year the last 2, 3, or 4 years. It's up dramatically. I mean, it's not an aberration, and there are people beginning to say, okay, so we're getting now a little break in the drought, and people are saying, no, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Don't get your hopes up. We still have a water shortage, and while that's true, the simple fact of the matter is this does matter. And when you have for 6 years been pummeling people with, and the farmers especially, not going to get any water allocations this year, we don't care about you, we're going to save the salmon first. There, you guys, you don't need any water, you've had it too much, and so forth. We're going to cut back on your allocation. You can't buy as much, you can't have as much, and so forth. It's their livelihood. And then you get a bunch of rain and a bunch of snow like this, and the farmers say, hey, you know, this is a godsend. We may have a little bit more water than we thought we were going to get. No, don't get your hopes up. So it goes to this whole point about the economy. Same thing. We tried to say to people during the last 3 months of the campaign, the economy was okay. It was getting better. We're not in a crisis situation. And no, people didn't want to hear it. They wanted to continue to hear bad news. They wanted to continue to spout bad news. The same thing with the water. Now, I'm not saying that the drought is over, and I don't want to be misunderstood about this, but it wouldn't hurt to be honest about it if you're at the Water Resources Control Board in California or in the media or something. Clearly, this precipitation out there is good. Now there are floods, and then people say, oh, this is the wrong kind of rain, you know, we're flooding, it's all running off. We're not capturing it. That may be true in certain parts, but the snowpack is all a good sign. And I just think it would be helpful if people would respond, because there's nothing more than a positive attitude to make people feel good. I mean, look, if you don't like the fact that one of the great leadership qualities exerted by Ronald Reagan was he made people feel good about themselves and their country, then please understand that's what they're saying about Clinton. Why is Bill Clinton being given credit for things he hadn't even done? Why? Because his election and the change, people are feeling better. People are feeling more confident, and they're out there doing more things that's good, and so forth. Well, it's the same thing with this water situation in California. People are afraid about getting people's hopes up, but I just am being honest about it, and all is a little bit called for here. All right. A drifter in Florida, Tennessee, Colorado confessed to setting fire to churches in those states. The reason he did it, he said he torched churches because they were causing him to have homosexual urges that he didn't want. He said the churches also gave him strong urges to steal cars and slash tires, so he torched the churches. He was found innocent on all charges by reason of insanity. Yesterday, his name is Patrick Lee Frank, wanted to burn the churches to stop the people inside from tormenting him. So he's 42. He's confined to a federal mental hospital, which will report his condition to the court every 6 months. Fires caused $10 million in damage total. There was nobody hurt in any of these things. Federal alcohol, tobacco, and firearms agent William T. McFarland testified that Frank confessed and said he had set fire to so many churches he could not recall which ones he had started. That's a quick way to prove to him you're crazy. Yeah, I've started so many of them, I can't even remember them all. I'm nuts. It's right. Put him in a mental hospital. All right, where's that? Oh. This is a story from Harare, Zimbabwe. 2 television anchor people were suspended from duty for bursting out laughing during the nightly news recently. You heard about this? Tsitsi Vera, that's him, and Noreen Welch, co-anchors of the main news, quote, lost their composure, unquote, when Vera read a report on Christmas Eve of a woman who gave birth in the bathroom of a train. The script told of how the newborn fell through the toilet onto the track, but survived. The anchors laughed uproariously while reading this account. Several complaints were received from viewers, and station officials decided the presenters, i.e. anchors, will not appear on state TV for 3 months. Baby's okay. Survived. I don't know how. Can you imagine this? It's a low train. The train's moving, for crying out loud. You think of this. Slow. It doesn't matter, Bo. He said it's a slow train. Go try it. Go grab a newborn. I mean, it's amazing. It's a miracle. And I'm sure it happened because Clinton was elected. Remember, this was on. Should have waited till the train was in the station? Yeah, right. Thanks, Mike. Go back to eating your pizza. So much help. So much help here. All right. This from the Atlanta Urinal and Constipation again. This is from last month, latter part of December. A man who received a 20-year prison sentence for kissing or biting the buttocks of women a decade ago is back. John Thomas Harmon, released from prison October 7th, faces simple assault charges in 3 incidents this year. DeKalb County Assistant Public Defender Jennifer Bonanno says he's denying it. He's telling me he didn't do it. To hear him tell it, the latest allegations are simply his past coming back to haunt him. According to court records, John Thomas Harmon told a psychologist that these accusations stem from his past history. He's from Atlanta. He's out of jail on a property bond. Today scheduled for arraignment in DeKalb County Court. Here are the charges. Sexual battery for allegedly kissing a woman's buttocks July 13th on East Ponce de Leon Avenue in Decatur, Georgia. Sexual battery for allegedly kissing a woman on the buttocks on July 24th in the Decatur MARTA station on Church Street. That's their rapid transit system down there. Sexual battery for allegedly licking and kissing the buttocks of another woman and exposing himself on September 8th on East College Avenue. Now we know where to go in Atlanta and Decatur for hot times. We know where to go for action. It's true, this guy apparently cannot leave his past behind him. Why would he have a job at Now? And he goes, what? Well, this is, the first time I have heard of kissing butt being a crime. I mean, it's not a very great characteristic to have. But, I think he would, you know what? He would be a good Democratic candidate. And look, I mean, we've got, what is it, Sir Mix-a-Lot out there, former #1 song. I like big butt and I can't stop. I mean, when you got the #1 song in America by Sir Mix-a-Lot being I like big butt, and here's a guy out there kissing butt, we're sending our children mixed messages, ladies and gentlemen. We should fix this. Finally, let's go back to Bangkok. Let's detail the nipple-sucking story since we titillated you with this earlier on. A gang of... That's right. Keeping you abreast of current events on the EIB network. A gang of transvestites has been robbing tourists by enticing them to suck their tranquilizer-laced nipples, according to police. Police arrested 4 Bangkok transvestites and a woman Sunday after complaints were received from a Syrian and a Hong Kong man. The Syrian said he was robbed of a Rolex watch and more than $4,000 in cash. The transvestites' breasts were smeared with tranquilizers to put the unwitting victims to sleep. Drugging drinks is a favorite tactic for gangs preying on tourists, but this has not been reported before. Many of our customers did not drink, so we would get them to suck our drug-laced nipples, said transvestite Samboom Wanasat. That's really the name. Sunboom. Sunboom Wanasat was quoted as saying this to the Nation newspaper. A standby tactic used by the gang was to feed the customers laced chocolates should they rejected the offer of the laced nipples. And so, there you are, folks. We'll take it. I wonder if I'll get suspended here for laughing about this story. Back in a moment.
You're listening to the EIB network.
Following Rush, join Larry Martin for the latest news on WTIC AM 1080.
You know, I can't program my own VCR. Now, I'm not stupid. In fact, I'm the president of my own company. But 8 out of 10 of us can't program our own VCRs. I'm Michael Bissonette. I founded Voice Power Technology to solve problems just like this. We've developed a VCR remote control that's controlled by your voice. You just speak right into it and your VCR obeys. For instance, if you wanted to record a movie next Monday, you'd say, record Channel 7, Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And your VCR will automatically record Channel 7 on Monday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's honestly just that simple. Our voice remote works with virtually all brands of VCRs and requires no installation of any kind. Now anyone that can speak can program their VCR. Take my word for it. It's just that simple. Call us for a free brochure on this incredible breakthrough product. Call now. 1-800-342-7000. 1-800-342-7000.
Dear Hooked on Phonics, my 6-year-old son had slipped through the system. He was far behind other first-grade students in reading. In desperation, I ordered Hooked on Phonics, and for the first time, my son started to learn. He's made tremendous improvement in reading, but most of all, he finally has the confidence to try. Hooked on Phonics was an investment in my son's future. Signed RT, Ann Arbor, Michigan. For Hooked on Phonics plus SRA Reading Laboratories, call 1-800-ABCDEFG.
This is meteorologist Dave Goldbaum from the New England Weather Service. We have a strong cold front pushing through north-central sections of Connecticut at the moment. It is accompanied by some brief heavy showers, and those are moving through portions of Hartford and Tolland counties at the moment and will push into eastern Connecticut during the next couple of hours. The afternoon will feature that passing shower, then windy and turning colder, Temperatures fall to the 40s by evening. Tonight, clear and cold, lows around 30. Sunshine for tomorrow, some clouds mixing in at times. Highs 38 to 42. For Thursday, partly sunny skies, highs 35 to 40 degrees. And for Friday, sunshine, then increasing clouds with highs in the 30s. Right now, we have a northwest wind at 20 miles an hour, and it's 61 degrees at the weather station, WTIC AM 1080.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Joy's got nuts. Mounds don't. Mounds has dark chocolate room, chewy coconut. Joy's got milk chocolate, coconut, and mushy nuts too.
Because
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you feel like sometimes you don't.
So, you've got a sore throat. How sore is it? And you took a candy-type cough drop. Well, you should have tried a Cepacol lozenge. And you, how's your throat? Oh, really sore, huh? You need a Cepastat lozenge. Skip the candy. Sore throats need Cepacol lozenges. Really, really sore throats need Cepastat lozenges. Use only as directed.
Get the latest news and weather on WTIC AM 1080.
If you love spontaneous, unpredictable, and relevant conversation, if you like to hear everyday people from all walks of life going at it, if you like to get into the minds of fascinating newsmakers, experts, and celebrities and be able to call them up and talk to them, ask questions, tell them what you think, if you like really good talk radio, then turn off your TV at night and turn on the Michael Harrison program, 8 to midnight on WTIC AM 1080, where you don't miss a thing.
Here is Pete Mineola, Long Island here in New York. Welcome to the program, Pete.
Rush, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. I just wanted to let you know you missed the boat on Clinton's cabinet.
How's that?
You don't think that Hillary was going to let him hire anybody that looked good?
Well, I'm going to that is an interesting thing to ponder, and that is her role in all this. But I want to say something here, because you have here, Pete, opened up this can of worms about this whole business. See, when I left the studio after pointing out to you Feminist Undeniable Truth number 24, and talking about how there are no babes in the Clinton cabinet that I've seen yet, I went in and talked to Diana Schneider, who's editor of the Limbaugh Letter, and she gets mad at me every time I do this stuff. And she said, "What about Warren Christopher?" Huh? What about Warren Christopher? I said, "For crying out loud, I'm telling you, what about Warren Christopher?" She said, "Well, he's ugly." I said, "So what? There is no movement out there that has been organized in part to see to it that ugly men are not discriminated against." I said, it is one of the many building blocks of feminism. This is institutional. It's not that Clinton purposely went out and found a bunch of unattractive women. Don't misunderstand me. It's if you're going to choose feminists, that's your pool. And one of the reasons that Clinton's going to choose militant feminists for these posts, Hillary is going to see to that. That's what's going to happen. Oh, jeez. So your pool of nominees is going to consist of those who have joined the feminist movement for a whole bunch of different reasons. And I'm telling you, people, one of the many building blocks is to see to it that discrimination against those who are not as attractive as others on the female side of things is rectified. And you can sit there and think I'm wrong and callous and cold-hearted and shallow about this all you want, but if you'll just stop and forget this emotional knee-jerk reaction you're having to it and think about it, you will see someday that I am right. It is not a coincidence that there are now The little bubbling up of anti-ugly ordinances in this country and around the world. Not making any of this stuff up. I don't have to. So just chill out. I mean, the truth sometimes is a tough thing to handle, but I want to stress this. I'm not saying that Bill Clinton is going through photo files and saying, unattractive, good choice. It doesn't matter. That's all he's got to choose from, don't you see? When you're looking at militant, ultra-left feminists, folks, you can look it up. You can see for yourself. The only difference is here, I have the courage to voice what you think anyway. Everybody else knows it. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away. More Rush. It's me after WTIC AM 1080 News next.
Every day, people with minor arthritis pain find relief thanks to Arthritis Pain Formula, maximum strength caplets. Listen to John Metzger of Wheeling, West Virginia.
When I have arthritis pain, I feel that I have a restriction, like an old rusty hinge that doesn't want to move the way it's supposed to move. Arthritis Pain Formula definitely took away the pain. You become free of pain.
Join the millions who use Arthritis Pain Formula from the makers of Anacin in the green box. Use as directed.
It's 2:30 and 60 degrees. I'm Matt Fleury, WTIC 1080 News. There's a rainbow in downtown Hartford this afternoon. There really is. And the pot of gold might belong to gambling big Steve Wynn. The state legislature's casino task force today voted to recommend approval of allowing casinos in Hartford and Bridgeport. With the gray of cadets' uniforms as a backdrop at West Point, President Bush today hailed the role of the U.S. military in keeping world peace. U.S. Marines have come under fire again today in Somalia. No U.S. casualties, but one Somali was killed. Now, Kara Asparo with the WTIC Business News.
Stocks are hanging on to modest gains. The Dow Industrial's up 1.5 to 3310.84 on turnover of 180 million shares. Advancing stocks outnumber declines 9 to 8. The Nasdaq Composite is up about a point. Treasury bond prices have firmed a bit, but the dollar remains weak. COMEX February gold is up 50 cents to $328.90 an ounce.
Checking in with the WTIC 24-hour traffic network, it's clear sailing according to the phones. No new calls on the links line of new traffic problems. If you see one, though, or a news story, we'd like to hear about it. The number is 247-NEWS. Now let's check out the WTIC New England Weather Service forecast. Here's meteorologist Dave Goldbaum. We'll see partial clearing on through the afternoon. Still a passing shower over eastern sections. Windy and turning colder. Temperatures fall to the 40s by evening. Becoming clear and cold overnight tonight. Lows around 30. Wednesday, sunshine. Some clouds mixing in. Highs 38 to 42. Thursday looks partly sunny with highs 35 to 40. Right now, with a northwest wind at 20 to 25 miles an hour, it's 57 degrees at the weather station, WTIC AM 1080. All right, thank you, Dave. And I'm Matt Fleury on Connecticut's news and information station, WTIC AM 1080.
Okay, everybody, guess what I'm holding? Oh, you want a hint? Okay, farmers use it as mulch to grow more crops with less water. You want another hint? Remember that toy you sent your nephew for his birthday? It's made out of the same stuff. Now it should be easy to guess. Oh, come on. It's the same strong, lightweight material that helps your car save gas. All right, okay. I'll practically give it away. There's some in your refrigerator, on your floor, even some inside this radio. You give up? It's plastic. Strong, lightweight, energy-saving plastic is doing so many good things in so many products nowadays, it should always be your first guess. Want to learn more? Well, just call 1-800-777-9500 for your copy of our free booklet and take another look at plastic. Sponsored by the American Plastics Council.
This is Rush Limbaugh on Connecticut's great radio station, WTIC AM 1080. On the cutting edge of societal evolution. Rush Limbaugh, the radio show that sounds like America. Renaissance Radio. Well, I just heard from my pals at WLS in Chicago. Mike Ditka is out as coach of the Chicago Bears. The Monsters of the Midway are without the Monster. He's going to stay on as a consultant in Chicago. No word. I don't have any word on a new coach. I'm going to miss Ditka. I understand the problem that the McCaskey family, very reserved and conservative family, would have with the volatile and bombastic personality of Coach Ditka. But I tell you, this league, they're socializing this league. They're taking the fun out of achievement. You score a touchdown, you better not celebrate that. That might make the other team feel bad. You might hurt their feelings. In fact, you people in Buffalo, you know, I'm going to tell you something. You people in Buffalo, if I were you, would be ashamed. To come back and win that way, where is your sense of fairness? You people have been to the Super Bowl the last 2 years, playoffs, because they have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Denver Broncos. Here they get a 35-3 lead on you, and you come back and beat them. That's not what this league has in mind. We're trying to see that every team now and then goes, this is not, you people in Buffalo are way too conservative. You strive to be your best. You tried as hard as you could. You never gave up. You didn't at halftime ask for reinforcements. You didn't ask the league to take away some of the weapons of the Oilers so things would be more fair for you in the second half. You went out there and you won big time. That's not good liberalism. I'm going to miss Ditka. The post-game press conferences, the ranting and raving, the destroying of quarterbacks' careers, the sending them to psychoanalysis. That's what happened to Mike Tomczak, the former quarterback of the Bears. Tomczak had to go seek therapy to figure out how to get along with Ditka. Well, he did. That's what he said. He went to seek a therapy. He went to see a shrink. How to get along with Ditka. And now he's in Cleveland playing for the Browns. So Ditka's gone. He'll only be a consultant. Now we're going to get probably some vanilla pancake kind of coach. We're very happy to be playing our opponent this week. We think they'll be a fine opponent. And we hope that we just do our best in this game. Thank you. That'll be the thrust of the press conference before the game. After the game, if the team gets creamed, the new coach will say, we tried our best. We thought this was a fine opponent, and we'll come out fighting next week. See you, gang. That'll be it. Oh, wow. No more reason to watch Sunday night highlights in the NFL since Ditka is gone. What about Saturday Night Live and the Bears? That whole thing was centered around Ditka. They'll have to find a way to keep Ditka alive. Why are you frowning in there? Are you guys happy to see Ditka go? I mean, let's face it, the NFL. We're not talking here about. You need characters. You need the Buddy Ryans. You need the Art Donovan types. Instead, you score a touchdown, you better not celebrate it. Oh, no way. We'll penalize you. It's unfair. Taunt your opponent. Oh, well, back to the phones. Manhattan, Kansas. Aaron, welcome to the program. Thanks for holding on.
Howdy, Rush. Greetings from Kansas.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Kansas State University, dittos here.
Thank you.
We have one quick question before I get to my real one.
Sure.
When is your television show going to go to 1 hour?
I'll tell you something, Aaron. I don't know that I could handle it if it were 1 hour.
Oh, dear.
I don't know if I could. It's tough enough doing a half hour.
I see. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
My real question, I was reading my newspaper, the Kansas City Star here, the other day, and I come across this article that talks about people in New Orleans, and especially New Orleans, getting mad about schools and streets being named for people who owned slaves, such as George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, etc.
I happen to have that same story, Aaron. This is called host preparation.
Amazing.
I happen to have it. what's happening in this is out. It's a Knight Ridder story, and my copy of it was from the Tampa Tribune from yesterday.
Right.
But it's about people in New Orleans debating whether public schools ought to be named after anyone who owned slaves, even George Washington. They're trying to eliminate all of these honors of founding fathers who may have done things that were bad by current standards. And it's just an outgrowth of the political correct movement. And again, you know what? It's this symbolism over substance. It doesn't matter what the name of the school is. And I think that it is I'm sure, Aaron, because you sound like a loyal caller, I'm sure you will agree with me on this. I think that it is just part and parcel of the main crime that is multiculturalism, and that is trying to erase the heritage of the country and the greatness of the people who founded the country and eliminate them from as much of the teaching of the history of this country as possible. Instead, teach a bunch of stuff that's not accurate, that's irrelevant, and doesn't prepare kids for their lives as adults in the United States. This is as ridiculous as the language censor at the University of Michigan who claimed that this political science student, while writing fiction in a paper, was guilty of sexual harassment. It's the same kind of lunacy.
Are they going to get away with this? Is there actually going to be these changes made?
Well, I don't know. In New Orleans, there may be a chance for it. I'm speaking totally off the cuff, but they're about to ruin Mardi Gras down there. They've about seen to it that what is Mardi Gras is over by trying to tell private clubs who they have to let join. And if they don't let certain people join these private clubs, they're called crews, K-R-E-W-E-S, then the crews cannot use city services. And city services are what allow a crew to gain access to the public streets during Mardi Gras. And so a number of crews have said, heck with it. We will go to different parishes. We'll skip Orleans Parish. We'll go to different parishes, or we'll not have a Mardi Gras at all. And so Mardi Gras is getting progressively smaller because these kinds of assaults are working. So based on that, it would seem to me that there is a sentiment down there in the power structure. I don't think the people in the surrounding areas, Orleans Parish, probably people support this, but outside Orleans Parish, I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of support for this, but it doesn't matter. There's not a whole lot of support for what's happening to Mardi Gras, and it's still happening.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
Definitely.
Glad you called, Aaron. Thank you. You bet. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. Here is Randy in County, Nebraska. Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Hi, Rush. It's
Hi.
Carney.
Carney, sorry. It says County.
Nebraska. Steelers fan dittos from Nebraska.
All right. Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills this weekend. Here's the conventional wisdom. The conventional wisdom is that the Bills left it all on the field last Sunday against the Oilers because of this incredible emotional comeback. Can they get it back? Can they get anything back emotionally for the game against the Steelers? The conventional wisdom is they won't, that they shot all they had, and that they're going to. And I disagree with this. I disagree with that conventional wisdom. I'll tell you why. How about what do you? First of all, Randy, do you agree with that conventional wisdom or not?
I think the Steelers will win.
Well, I hope so too. But I remember I was in Kansas City, and it was 76, 77, or 78. I forget which. But it was the year that the New York Yankees had to have a one-game playoff with the Boston Red Sox to determine who won the American League East. And it was the day of Bucky Dent's homer up in Boston. And I was in Kansas City working with the Royals at the time. And everybody said, this is great. The Yankees will have left it all in Boston. They'll have no emotion left after this playoff and the pressures of having to win one game. And the Yankees rolled into town, and it was a juggernaut. I mean, they had plenty left. It invigorated them. It fired them up. It was like the first day of the season, that playoff game, and they were just psychologically refreshed. And I think the same thing can happen with Buffalo. And rather than leaving it on the field, I think these guys can come out invigorated. The guys who are hurt will be less hurt miraculously. It'll be more of a yes, we can kind of mentality. Well, you come back from 35-3 in the last quarter and a half, largest comeback in NFL history. I'll tell you, the Steelers are going to have their work cut out for them. I know the Steelers have home field advantage and all that. It's going to be another great game, I think. But I, too, because of my love and bias, will go with the Steelers.
At my vacation, I attended the Steelers game December 27th.
Really?
Yes, saw Tom Zach come in and throw a touchdown pass in the first play from scrimmage that he was in.
Yeah, that was in Cleveland. No, they wrapped up in Pittsburgh. That's right. See, Tom Zach did recover from being coached by Ditka.
Oh, he's a great quarterback.
Yeah. Anyway.
Steeler tailgate parties put Cornhusker tailgate parties to shame.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I didn't think anybody outdid the Cornhuskers, maybe except the Sooners.
In tailgate parties, they do.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment on the Shetland oil spill, and I've heard 3 news reports on it this morning, and none of them have mentioned the Spanish oil spill, but they've all 3 mentioned the Exxon Valdez oil spill. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, now this oil spill, so far, what's 2.2 million barrels or gallons have been spilled, whatever, barrels. It's like 1/5 the Exxon Valdez spill, right?
Right.
So far, and they're already comparing it to the Exxon Valdez. But there was this massive spill off of Spain that was, what was it, 11 times or 10 times the amount of, or twice, it was twice the amount of oil spilled by the Exxon Valdez, and nobody except me pointed that out. Nobody talked about it. And that's because they couldn't blame the U.S. for it, so they couldn't blame a Western culture for it. So they did. They chose not to leave it alone. Randy, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks ever so much. We got a quick break. A newsletter commercial coming up, folks, a brand new one in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Larry Martin and WTIC's First News starting at 3.
You know, it's great, folks, having my very own newsletter. I am now, I dominate radio, soon to dominate TV, and now getting into the print side. They're quaking in their boots out there. One of the things that just has distressed me to no end is the history revision of the 80s. Trying to set forth this notion that the 80s were the worst decade in American history and we can never go back to them. In the February issue of the Limbaugh letter, we set the record straight. We correct the lies about the 80s with facts about the prosperity of this country and the individuals who live in it. Also, a great interview, a conversation with movie critic Michael Medved, the only conservative movie critic in Hollywood. He is amazing, has some incredible insights about the effect of Hollywood on our society. The Limbaugh letter, $29.95. Call 1-800-457-4141. Operators are waiting for your call now. 800-457-4141.
The Irrational Inquirer says Elvis will appear in Connecticut this weekend.
WTIC AM 1080 and Diet Coke are giving you the chance to win a trip to Hawaii.
Blue Hawaii. That was Elvis's best movie.
This weekend, WTIC's Glenn Colligan will feature the King, Elvis Presley. Every song will be an Elvis song. Keep track of every tune so you're ready to call in to identify any song played. Each correct caller with a correct answer wins a case of Diet Coke. Taste it all, 1 awesome calorie. Or jot the song down on a postcard and send it to WTIC Diet Coke, 1 Financial Plaza, Hartford, 06103. All on-the-air calls and postcards are eligible for one of 2 trips for 2 to Hawaii.
I'll never forget Elvis's Hawaii concert on TV.
Winners will fly a round trip to Maui, stay at the Still for Wailea Beach Resort for 4 nights, and have the daily use of a compact rental car during their stay. So get yourself a big bag of donuts, put a spotlight on your Velvet Elvis, then listen this Saturday afternoon from 2 till 6 and Sunday from noon till 6 to win.
Hey, was that Elvis I just saw? Nah, pass me another donut.
It's all from Diet Coke and WTIC AM 1080.
Well, I'm the kind of guy who likes to get around. In my Cutlass Supreme, I roam from town to town. I got a 3.1 liter V6 engine, 4-speed automatic with overdrive, cruise control, power windows, power locks, air and more.
just $15,995.
The Oldsmobile Special Edition Cutlass Supreme. It's all yours for a song. MSRP, tax and license extra.
The sun comes up, the birds sing, and you arise with a sticky, pasty film inside your mouth. That film is alive with millions of morning breath bacteria. And that's why there's Scope. Scope kills 90% of morning breath bacteria. Yes! The medicine-y smelling mouthwash can't even kill more. No! Scope leaves your breath smelling minty fresh. It can take you all the way from morning breath to a morning kiss.
Talk sports with Arnold Dean tonight at 6:30 on WTIC AM 1080.
We love to hear Rush Limbaugh. Excellence in broadcasting from sea to shining sea. Over 14 million listen. Conservative voice of freedom. Heard throughout all America. A message pure and truthful. God bless you, Rush.
With talent on loan from God. This is Rush Limbaugh and the EIB Network coming to you from the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, the largest free education institution known to exist in all of mankind. And to Sikeston, Missouri. This is 30 miles south of where I grew up. Fred, welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Ditto's Rush from your old stomping ground.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to make an offer to you.
Hey, Fred, hey,
Yeah.
Is that place in Sikeston still open at, it's a restaurant. You go in there
They
and
throw food at you.
Yeah, Thode Rolls. That's what it is. Thode Roll. They throw.
Lambert's, but he's a big Perotista, that guy is.
Oh, really? The guy who owns the Thode Rolls?
He's a big Perotista, so I don't go anymore.
60 Minutes did a profile of this place.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's a restaurant. It's a big popular restaurant. Okay. Anyway, I just want to make sure it's still there.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make an offer. I'm an optometrist here, and I'd like to offer an eye exam to you and become the first Rush Limbaugh official optometrist next time you're in the neighborhood. You're in your early 40s now. I know that reading's got to be getting kind of tough.
Well, now, let me tell you something. I'll tell you what's happening. The reading is not tough yet, but I'm more light sensitive than I ever have been. I mean, I need more light to read now. Is that a sign?
Yeah, that's a sign that your lenses are starting to opacify, and you might end up with cataracts by the time you're 60 or 70.
Unless, of course, I come see you.
That's right.
And
no charge, of course.
Oh no, I'm sure not.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about the comparison between the presidential election and the Democratic primary victory of Carol Moseley Braun.
Wait a minute. Are we going to talk about Carol Moseley Braun here?
Planning on it.
We're going to do the theme song. It's going to bring. Hang on here just a second, Fred. Talking about Carol Moseley Braun. Boyfriend is accused of sexual harassment. Those women don't have any evidence. He's a knight in shining armor to me.
I love it.
I know, that's what most people say about this show, Fred.
Moving on up to the
1984 Democratic Convention in San Francisco. Tonight, we're on the inside, he said. Okay, Fred, what were you going to say about Carol Moseley Braun?
Well, I was going to see what your insight was, in both cases, in the presidential election and then the Illinois Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, and a multimillionaire outsider who had practically no chance of winning sucked votes away from the incumbent, and a really underqualified outsider got in on both occasions, and I just wondered what you thought of that.
Now, I'm sorry, I missed something here. The comparison you're making between Ross Perot and Carol Moseley Braun?
Well, no, between Ross Perot and Al Hofeld. Yeah, he sucked votes away from Alan Dixon, and they were on his case because he voted to confirm Clarence Thomas.
That really is true. I mean, that's something that's left out of this whole mix is that she won this thing in a three-way primary, but she did not ever get a majority of the votes in the primary. It doesn't matter. I mean, she won the big prize.
Yeah. We're active in the pro-life movement here, so we hope to be a real, at least a thorn in her side, along with you.
Well, I don't know. She's moved on up.
Well, we're moving on now. Moving on up to the side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Moving on up to the side. We finally got a piece of the pie.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
It's so dark in here. Is the light burned out?
The light is loose.
The light's loose?
And if you stand on this chair, you'll see a loose light.
What a fun way to learn Spanish.
Well, in Spanish, chair is silla, and loose means light.
So stand on a chair, see a loose light. Oh, I get it.
You can learn Spanish, French, German, or Japanese, too. Not by memorizing, but by visualizing and association.
So sit down on your silla and call National Dynamics Speed Tapes at 1-800-545-1985.
1-800-545-1985.
Eso sí, que es.
Every day, people with minor arthritis pain find relief thanks to Arthritis Pain Formula, caplets with maximum strength aspirin. Listen to Mary Maldonado of Bronx, New York.
I have arthritis pain in my hands. Typing is a killer if your fingers are bothering you. But I took Arthritis Pain Formula. It was a real clear improvement. Arthritis Pain Formula did give me relief.
Join the millions who use Arthritis Pain Formula from the makers of Anacin in the green box. Use as directed.
Healthy Choice chicken and vegetables entree has just 1 gram of fat. But you know what the best part is? That gives us more room for flavor. So Healthy Choice doesn't just select leaner breast meat for less fat. We simmer it in a rich Marsala wine sauce for more taste. Instead of just less salt, we add our own blend of herbs and spices. 1 tiny gram of fat never had more flavor. Chicken and vegetables from Healthy Choice. Never settle for less.
There are some things a business traveler simply needs. Healthy respect for airline food, a good head for calculating frequent flyer miles, and a rental car with a nice big trunk. But the best way to stay productive while traveling is by staying at Courtyard by Marriott. Enjoy a spacious room and things like a whirlpool and mini gym. What more could a business traveler want? Besides, say, a Learjet. Call your travel agent or 1-800-321-2211. Courtyard, the hotel designed by business travelers.
No matter what new cold or flu epidemic the media discovers, it seems I'm always one of those millions stricken by statistics. My colds are nasty. I need powerful relief, which means Benadryl Cold. Benadryl Cold gives me the doctor-recommended relief of Benadryl for my runny nose, plus maximum strength relief for congestion and pain. And that puts me in another set of statistics, the millions of people who believe in Benadryl.
When colds come on strong, Benadryl Cold comes on stronger. Use as directed.
It's so dark in here. Is the light burned out?
The light is loose.
The light's loose?
And if you stand on this chair, you'll see a loose light.
What a fun way to learn Spanish.
Well, in Spanish, chair is silla, and loose means light.
So stand on a chair, silla, loose, light. Oh, I get it.
You can learn Spanish, French, German, or Japanese, too. Not by memorizing, but by visualizing and association.
So sit down on your silla and call National Dynamics Speed Tapes at 1-800-545-1985.
1-800-545-1985.
Eso sí, que es.
Wake up with Ray Dunaway on the WTIC Morning News.
All right, we got to move fast. Time vanishing fast. Woodridge, Illinois. Jim, thanks for waiting. You're on the Rush Limbaugh program.
Wonderful wooden dittos from Tree City, USA, Rush.
Thank you very much.
I'm calling just to say that I'm, sitting here talking to you because I am not working because of the Clinton administration.
Really? What did the Clinton administration do to you? Cause you to be out of work?
Well, for the last, umpteen years, I've been working really hard and putting in, for the last 2 years, average of 50 hours a week.
Good for you.
And during the last few weeks, I've been putting in less and less hours due to a lack of work. So,
well, what lack of work is there? I mean, what do you do?
I draw electronic switching systems equipment for the phone company.
You draw electronic switching, did you say you draw electronic switching systems for the phone company?
Yep.
Well, I think that it's time for on-the-spot analysis here. Now, here's a man who, for whatever reasons we don't have time to explore now, is out of work, has less work than he had. He, on January 5th, says it's because of the Clinton administration. We all know there is no Clinton administration yet. It's not been inaugurated. However, if, ladies and gentlemen, we can credit this non-existent administration for economic recovery, attitudinal rebound, and general all-round good feelings, then at the same time we can blame unemployment and other personal maladies on this non-existent administration. It's like the Somalia invasion, the Clinton Somalia invasion. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. One for all for one, don't you know?
Talk with Michael Harrison tonight on WTIC AM 1080.
Hi, Michael Bissonette, founder, Voice Power Technology. You've probably heard my commercials by now about our new VCR voice programmer, but here's some news you haven't heard. Our voice programmer has 3 major breakthroughs that will simplify your life. First, it allows you to program your VCR by voice. Want to record a movie Sunday at 9 p.m.? Just say, record Channel 2, Sunday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., and that's it. Programming is just that simple. Second, it acts as a universal remote control. This means it can operate most any TV, VCR, or cable box. You no longer need your 3 separate remote controls cluttering up the table. This one voice remote will now control all your equipment. But wait till you hear this. Our voice remote even allows you to zap past commercials from your taped programs. All you do is say zap it, and no more commercials. Call us now and we'll send you a free brochure on this breakthrough product. Call 1-800-522-1722. 1-800-522-1722.
WTIC, Hartford.
It's exactly 3 o'clock. Now with WTIC 1080 News, here's Matt Fleury.
The Senate will come to order.
Vice President Quayle opening the 103rd session of Congress for the swearing-in of 13 new senators today. In the House, 110 new representatives are taking the oath. Before the proceedings began, Senate Majority Leader George Mitchell said even those whose elections are being challenged will be sworn in without affecting any actions that might unseat them. Minority Leader Bob Dole.
All senators sworn in today are senators in every sense of the word. In effect, we're all sworn in without prejudice.
Some old problems are ready for the new session of the Connecticut General Assembly, which convenes its 65th session tomorrow. Among the major items facing the lawmakers is the state budget, which is showing a built-in gap of more than $425 million. Leadership changes. State Senate Majority Leader Cornelius O'Leary has resigned today. O'Leary, who was just reelected as senator from the 7th District, is being succeeded in the leadership post by Hartford Senator William DiBella, a Democrat. Even supporters say they didn't expect the casino idea to be this warmly received by the state legislature's casino task force. The panel voted 12-6 today in support of casino projects in Hartford and Bridgeport. Opponents of casino gambling, including State Public Safety Commissioner Nicholas Chiaffi, said the task force wasn't given enough time or witnesses to show the seedy side of casinos. Chiaffi, who heads the state police, says they were denied testimony that would have shown that casinos would attract crime and ruin an already burdened infrastructure.
The greatest source of the information dealing with the criminal problems is the federal government, and they refuse to come before the task force because it was their policy not to make public statements. But they are the repository of all the information on organized crime and on these things which transcend state lines.
The task force will give the new legislature a report in favor of casinos and a minority report against the proposals. The pro-casino report includes allowing slot machines in casinos. By the way, listen for live coverage of Governor Weiker's State of the State address to a joint session of the state legislature tomorrow at noon here on WTIC AM 1080. 20-year-old sex charges are coming back to haunt a priest in Greenwich. The Reverend Raymond Pacholka of the Sacred Heart Parish in Greenwich has been relieved of his duties because of a lawsuit accusing him of sexually assaulting 2 teenagers while he was assistant pastor in Stratford between 1978 and 1982. WTIC News Time 3:03. A Hartford deputy sheriff arrested on drug charges. The story is coming up on WTIC AM 1080.
Homeowners, it's no secret that interest rates are lower today than they have been in years. That means it's time for you to stop paying those high interest rates on your credit cards, as high as 21% in some cases. If you own your home, call 1-800-592-4488 now and find out how a home equity line from HFC could help you pay off those credit cards once and for all. Once you're approved, you could have the money you need to consolidate your monthly credit card bills into just one payment. You may be surprised by how much you actually save each month. And unlike the interest on your credit cards, the interest on your HFC home equity line is usually 100% tax deductible. See your tax advisor. It only makes good sense to take advantage of today's low interest rates. So start the fast approval process now for a home equity line from HFC. There's no obligation. Real estate loans are made by Household Realty Corporation. Call now, 1-800-592-4488. That's 1-800-592-4488.
The station commuters turn to for the best rush hour traffic information. WTIC AM 1080.
WTIC News Time 3:04. A 46-year-old deputy sheriff from Hartford has been arrested today on drug charges. Melvin Braswell was picked up at Hartford Superior Court for allegedly dealing drugs on the job. He's being held this afternoon on $50,000 bond. Arraignment today for the teenager accused in a bloody shooting rampage at a small college in the Berkshires of Massachusetts last month. 18-year-old Wayne Lowe is being arraigned in Pittsfield on charges he shot and killed 2 people and wounded 4 others at his school, Simons Rock College in Great Barrington. A woman is suing the city of Milford, saying a faulty traffic signal led to the premature birth of her son. Lisa Bertie of West Haven says the light was broken when the car in which she was a passenger was involved in a crash at that intersection with the broken light. She says the crash sent her into labor a month and a half early. A shipload of desperate migrants from Haiti is docked in Miami this afternoon. Reporter Dan Pryor is at the scene.
352 Haitians had crammed themselves into a rattle-trap 50-foot boat. A Coast Guard petty officer says about a dozen of the refugees had been suffering from seasickness when they arrived, and another had to be taken to a local hospital because of seizures. The rest have been turned over to immigration authorities, but it remains to be seen if they will be detained here or sent back to Haiti.
And Mike Ditka has been fired today after 11 years as coach of the Chicago Bears football team. He has been asked to stay on as a consultant. More on that story throughout the afternoon in sports with WTIC's Arnold Dean. On Wall Street, the Dow is up just over 1 point. Traffic and weather together coming up on WTIC AM 1080.
So you've got a sore throat. How sore is it? And you took a candy-type cough drop. Well, you should have tried a Cepacol lozenge. And you, how's your throat? Oh, really sore, huh? You need a Cepastat lozenge. Skip the candy. Sore throats need Cepacol lozenges. Really, really sore throats need Cepastat lozenges. Use only as directed.
As we check in with the WTIC 24-hour traffic network, we find no new problems or delays on the roadways. It's been very smooth going today, and that's probably partly to do with the weather, which so far has been pretty good, though a few thunderstorms have made the skies black and the roads wet in a few areas. The AAA's Lynn Davies will be in the airplane shortly to update the commute for you as it picks up for the rush hour. If you see a traffic problem or a news story, call us here at 247-NEWS. Next up, the WTIC New England Weather Service forecast. And here's meteorologist Dave Goldbaum.
We'll see a few showers across eastern areas, otherwise clearing this evening, windy and turning colder. Temperatures will fall into the 40s. Tonight, clear to partly cloudy and cold with a low around 30 degrees by morning. On Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds, the high between 38 and 42. And the outlook for Thursday, partly sunny but chilly, highs 35 to 40. Right now, with a northwest wind at 25 miles an hour, it's 57 degrees at the weather station, WTIC AM 1080.
And David informs us that we broke another record today. The record high was 58 back in 1950. And today at Bradley, we hit 63 degrees. I'm Matt Fleury on Connecticut's news and information station, WTIC AM 1080.
Rather interesting because yesterday, we broke a record that also was set in 1950. So apparently that was a year that was fairly mild.
But not as.
No, because let's see, yesterday's high temperature in 1950 was 60. We hit 61. 58 was the high in 1950 for this date. 63 at Bradley. And boy, oh boy, what a beautiful afternoon.
Nice stuff. So Dave said that there had been some little rumblers in spots. I haven't seen one in downtown Hartford, though.
Thunder showers.
And there was a beautiful rainbow over downtown. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
It was real nice. It seemed to come from the Civic Center, sort of between the Civic Center and that outdoor market. That was one end of it. The other end, I don't know. Maybe that was in East Hartford somewhere.
Where the pot of gold was.
Yeah.
At the end of the rainbow.
Yeah. I don't know if that was on this end or that end.
I don't either. No, I didn't see it. I wasn't looking out the window, but that is lovely. Maybe it's something symbolic for the Whalers that there's a rainbow over the Civic Center. That would be nice.
Or for Steve Wynn that there's a rainbow near the proposed gambling casino site.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Because it is big-time news, and Walt Dibble has been covering that story. And Walt, coincidentally, is in the studio with us as we speak, and we're going to talk in depth about that, what may be the start of gambling casinos in the state of Connecticut in just a moment or two. Let me get the forecast to you again. It's worth repeating, isn't it? A few showers in eastern sections today, then clearing this evening, windy, turning colder, temps falling into the 40s, but boy, it's nice now. For tonight, clear to partly cloudy, chilly around 30, sun and clouds tomorrow, 38 to 42. Thursday, partly sunny, and temps between 35 and 40. They've got the words chilly in the forecast, and 35 or 40 is chilly, but it's not unseasonably so. I guess the high temperature should be right around the 30-degree mark, so it's not bad. We'll take it. And broke a new record, as we've just mentioned, from 1950. Used to be 58, now it's 63. However, the temperature, as we speak, at Bradley, 57, and 57 at the weather station, WTIC AM 1080. We'll talk some gambling, boys and girls. You can bet your life on that in just a moment or two with Walt Dibble. 3:10 on WTIC. I'm Larry Martin. Thanks for being with us.
We're climbing the mountain of knowledge to speak with the great guru. Yoo-hoo, great guru.
What? Oh, boy. What do you want?
The truth. What will bring true harmony to my life?
He wants to know about harmony. I'll tell you about harmony. Try the Bee Gees. The Temptations, maybe? Hey, go for the big sound. The Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
No, really, guru. Can't you even give me a hint?
It's so simple, really. You won't believe me.
Try me.
Traffic and weather back-to-back on WTIC.
You're kidding.
Would I kid? Don't answer that. Yes, traffic with the AAA's Mike Allen flying WTIC's Air 1 and the WTIC New England Weather Service forecast back-to-back every 10 minutes, weekday mornings and afternoons, will bring commuting contentment. And besides, you won't have to wait. It's there, so listen, be happy for small favors.
You speak with great wisdom, great guru.
No, I speak with bad dentures. I've been up here a long time. Can you recommend a dentist? My cousin Irving's a dentist, but he moved to Palm Springs. You think I know everything, but I know what all he is.
Traffic and weather back-to-back every 10 minutes. Weekday mornings and afternoons on WTIC AM 1080, where you don't miss a thing.
I would mention that Mike Harrison is going to be on right after the 8 o'clock news tonight, and he is going to be doing really open lines on how you feel about the possibility of gambling coming to the state of Connecticut, in particular Hartford, starting at 8 tonight. We'll do that live, but covering at least the first baby steps of perhaps seeing gambling on a full-scale basis in Connecticut. Walt Dibble is in studio right now. So exactly what is this panel that voted by a very clear majority to at least begin the process? What was that all about?
Well, this was the task force on casino gambling that the legislature passed the bill and the governor signed the bill allowing it to proceed, even though, as we all know, he's dead set against casino gambling. So the governor had some appointments to that commission, 4, I believe, and the legislature, the House Speaker appointed some, and the Senate President appointed some others.
So it was bipartisan?
Bipartisan, 18 members, Democrats and Republicans, and some members from the general public. Robert Rich, the big developer downstate, it doesn't mean much up here, but if you're in Fairfield County, F.D. Rich and Sons, big developers all over Stamford, Greenwich, Norwalk.
Mm-hmm.
So there were people from all over the state, including Richard Gordon, the whaler.
So do you know what they did in order to arrive at this vote? What was done for preparation for it?
5 months of public hearings, which we covered, and people from all over the state came in and testified. And then they had several sessions in which invited experts were called in to testify. So that took 5 months and 10 public hearings, some of which were held not only in Hartford but in other cities as well. And this was the result today. The vote took about half an hour. They debated procedure and so forth. So the vote occurred at about 10:28 this morning, and it was 12-6.
In favor
of having the legislature debate casino gambling, 2 casinos, one in Hartford, one in Bridgeport. And an interesting sidelight on that, which may be even more important politically, is the video slot machine issue. 2 more votes were attracted. It would have been, I was told, it would have been a vote of instead of 12-6, it would have been 10-8 in favor. So it would have been
had
a
the
lot
video
closer.
slot machine or video slot machines not been incorporated into the
the vote might have been, the vote could have been 10-8, but 2 more votes came over to the casino video slot side because the video slots were in there.
And this is something I didn't know, and perhaps others didn't. That's where the big dough is.
That's where the big money is. In order to have our high life fronton survive, in order to have the OTB parlors survive, we have to have video slots. Now, we have to have it, but for their survival.
Yeah. So people shouldn't jump to the conclusion that gambling casinos or casino gambling in the state of Connecticut is a done deal. It's far from it right now.
No, now this is only a recommendation, and I think I'd like to have you play the 58-second interview I did with Senator Larry Betancourt, member of the task force. He's from southeastern Connecticut. Waterford, I believe, is his hometown. He explained to me just what this recommendation was. My question was, Senator, what is the impact of the task force recommendation?
And this is a man who is representing the area where the
Indian Casino
Indian Ledyard Casino is, right?
And his was one of the votes, they say, that came over because of the video slot issue. The Indian Casino, in order to survive, needs to survive if there's competition, also needs those video slots.
And Betancourt, the question again was?
Question again was exactly what does today's task force report do?
Well, the impact of the task vote here is one strictly advisory. We have, in the last 4.5 to 5 months, provided the necessary documentation, pro and con on casino gambling and video slots, that will then be given to the legislature, both the House and the Senate, for their review and a vote. If the House and Senate had to go through 4 or 5 months of information gathering and do the regular legislative business up here, there'd be an impossible task. They'd never get out of here. I think the task force has proved its salt in doing what they did and putting together the volumes and volumes of material for the legislators to review. Now they will have to take that information when the bill comes up on the floor and evaluate that information and cast their vote.
All right, so Walt Dibble, who covered the vote today, 12-6, in favor of carrying on with the research into possible casino gambling in Hartford and or Bridgeport, where does that leave us? We know that it's obviously a positive first step in the efforts to bring legalized gambling in great volume to the state. Well, now what happens?
As Skip Bronson, who is Steve Wynn's partner in New City Development, the people that want to put casinos in Hartford and Bridgeport, as Skip Bronson said, this gives us tremendous momentum going into the legislative debate.
So what's the timetable now? What happens next?
What happens next is bills have to be drafted authorizing casino gambling, and then they have to be reported out after public hearings by Appropriations, Bonding, and Finance, and by Public Safety. So you'll have 2 separate sets of public hearings where the public can come and testify for or against casinos before debate ever starts up on the House floor.
So on a best-case scenario, let's assume that everything goes along without any great impediments. It would then go to the legislature for a vote. In all probability, from what we've talked about off the air, there's enough support in legislative bodies for passage. We then know that Governor Weicker would veto it.
And then comes the important vote is on the reconsideration of the veto.
So what kind of a timetable in terms of days, weeks, months, how long is it going to take before we find out if it's going to be done dealing?
I think you're looking at mid-May, late May, early June before the legislature adjourns. It's not going to happen soon.
Okay. It's pretty interesting, but as you said, the momentum is there, or not as you said, but
Skip Bronson said
the momentum.
We've got the momentum, and he was leaving the hearing room, or legislative room 2E, to go and telephone Las Vegas and tell Steve Wynn. And there were a few mini high fives. I won't call them high fives, but in the audience, when the final vote was announced, there were a few mini high fives, maybe shoulder high, being exchanged.
Well, it's going to be interesting now. Is there a possibility of casinos in both cities?
Yes, definitely. If Hartford gets one, again, over Mayor Perry's objections, if Hartford gets one and if Bridgeport gets, Bridgeport undoubtedly will get one. So it's I don't know if it's either or, but you can bet that if Hartford gets one, Bridgeport will get one.
And someone, if Connecticut does not approve it in the long run, if the override of an expected gubernatorial veto of this whole thing is not sustained, it's going somewhere else in the Northeast, isn't it?
Rhode Island, Massachusetts are racing toward this same goal.
Yeah. Walt, thanks. It's very interesting. We'll stay on top of it. Walt Dibble from WTIC News. And again, remember, tonight at 8 o'clock, Mike Harrison, you can talk live and express your feelings about gambling coming to the state, positively or negatively, with open lines tonight, focusing directly on the casino issue in the state of Connecticut, beginning right after the 8 o'clock news with Michael Harrison. So pretty interesting stuff. You know, nobody really cares what I think, but my 2 cents worth is, and has been, if it's not going to cost us in the state anything in terms of money, or very little, why not? I mean, if the people in Las Vegas are willing to put up those hundreds of millions of dollars, and there's possibility of it improving the economy, which heaven knows we do need help on, what's the big deal? I know there are arguments for and against, and you can express your feelings tonight at 8 with Michael Harrison on WTIC. Well, we set a brand new record high temperature for this state, formerly 58 degrees in 1950, now 63, set a little while ago for a time at Bradley. It's cooled off a little bit, but still very nice. We've got some pretty decent weather carrying on until, well, maybe the weekend, late on Friday night. But between now and then, we may see a few rain showers in eastern areas this afternoon. Then clearing this evening, windy, turning colder, temps into the 40s. It is colder, but not cold for this time of year. Tonight, clear, cold, low around 30. Sun and clouds, 38 to 42 tomorrow. Thursday, partly sunny and chilly, 35 to 40. Increasing clouds on Friday in the 30s, and then ice and snow changing to rain Friday night, and a period of rain on Saturday. Right now, though, it's partly sunny, brisk. Well, not brisk. I guess it's breezy. That's the word I want. It's not because it's very mild. 15 miles an hour from the northwest, gusting to 30 miles an hour. 57 at Bradley and 57 at the weather station. WTIC AM 1080. 321, Larry Martin here. And now, Brian Thomas and WTIC's Health Update.
Well, the impact of the TAS vote here.
We'll get to that in just a second. Hold on, and I'll get right to it, okay? We'll be with Brian in just a moment on WTIC.
This time of year, Sears siding contractors spend a lot more time inside than they do outside on installations. You see, people just don't think about making home improvements in the winter, but Sears installs siding all year long. And right now, to keep their crews working, Sears is offering truly incredible values. So call 1-800-847-5300 now for a free in-home estimate. There's no obligation. Call now and you save 15% on premium vinyl siding during the winter warehouse sale. Sears siding is guaranteed against denting, chipping, or peeling for as long as you own your home. Plus, it's sold, furnished, and installed by a Sears authorized contractor, someone you can trust. License numbers furnished on request. Put Sears siding crews to work for you this winter. Call 1-800-847-5300 now. Save 15% on premium vinyl siding during the winter warehouse sale. Not available in all areas. This offer ends March 15th. So call 1-800-847-5300 now. That's 1-800-847-5300.
A sports item that just crossed the wire just moments ago. Tom Coughlin says he is remaining as football coach at Boston College. There had been a word that he has talked in depth with New York Giants general manager George Young about taking over for the fired Ray Handley. But the word is out of Boston. Tom Coughlin says he's remaining as football coach at Boston College. Mike Ditka has been fired as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And the dean will be along in less than an hour. Our first late afternoon sports report coming up at 4:15. Right now, as promised, a little late, it's Brian Thomas and WTIC's Health Update.
This week, news of a Hartford connection to Irkutsk.